There we go. Okay. Let's see if it fixes itself now. Let me see. Is it going? Is it all working fine now? I think so. Okay, yeah, my internet just had like a huge... It just completely dropped on me, but it looks like it's good. It looks like... Well, good now. Other than that, though, let's see... I missed a bunch of comments, unfortunately. But I'll just get right back to it. Get back to chatting. How's it going? Yeah, my internet just kind of like dropped randomly. It just popped down, and then it's going good now. I don't really know what's happened. I think it was just one of those unfortunate drops. But yeah, let me get back to some of the comments. And don't Sinbad, don't just time him out and mess with his comments for no reason, man. I don't want it to take your mod ship away, but I'll do it if you're gonna be rude. Sad boy hours. Good. They were earlier. I was that post I made, and I posted that clip of when Natsu's fighting Zareth using Fire Dragon King mode for the first time, and that shit hurt. Sinbad, don't be causing any ruckus or problems in the chat, man. Let me retweet out the stream real quick. Any questions or comments you guys had that I didn't get to because of the stream drop, just recomment them and I'll get to them. I'm just real quick gonna just retweet out the stream, and then yeah, that's it. Then we'll get back to just doing what we were doing right before. Let me see. One second. There we go. Okay, let me get to some of the comments, get to everything. Netflix is doing Eden Zero dirty. I mean, the animation looks fine. It's really going to depend, because one thing I was talking to Josuke about is he brings up the fact that Netflix will just, like, go good on, like, the first season for a lot of shows, and then, like, later seasons they'll just kind of give up. I don't really know what's up with that, like, why exactly they, like, consistently like that with some of these shows, but it's really going to depend for Eden Zero later. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with Eden Zero, because, like, one of the things about Eden Zero that is, like, a big highlight of its style, Mishima's talked about it, I've agreed with them about the same thing, it's the whole space aspect visually is a big hook on the series. Let's see. Your brother's messing your phone. I don't know if I believe that, man. How do you feel the fact that Fairy Tail... I don't go to Reddit, and I don't look up conversations about the hentai, man. Not for me. Who's your favorite female character from Mishima's stories? I mean, honestly, I really do like Lucy. I think she's a really solid character. I like that she's able to, be in, like, comedic parts. She can get fan serviced, and she can still, like, she's still consistently, like, the least powerful of the main cast, but she's always, like, even now, still keeping up, still staying relevant, still having her own story and plot going on, still doing everything she can to contribute every arc. Like, she's a really solid character. And on top of that, like, she has, like, a lot of really good character development. She's got a lot of good power progression. Right now, though, out of new ones, Celine. Damn, Rax hate. I don't hate you, Simba, but don't cause a ruckus for no reason. Let's see. Her Tokyo Revengers has been doing pretty well in sales because of the anime. I haven't watched it, but, like, I've heard it's pretty good. Isn't it, like, about, like teenage street gangs or something? Sort of how... man, Magna, though, the thing about Magna that I mentioned... It doesn't have anything to do with Lucifaro. It has to do with Dante. Dante decided to stand there, and he underestimated Magna, like, threw a hacks at him that if Dante was fighting even remotely serious, not even, like, serious, if he just took him, if he just said, I should probably not get hit by this attack, then Dante would have just killed him, and it would have been GG, but he decided to let somebody hit him with their hacks. And that's one of the things that we've talked about for relatively most characters that have high regeneration and stuff, is they don't, like, it's because of their regeneration level that they're reckless, and they let themselves get hit by stuff. So really, if you run into somebody that has a level, like a type of hacks that can affect them, then... they're probably going to get it off because they're not going to go anywhere. And that's what happened with Magna. Strax, which are you enjoying more so far, Eden Zero, Jujutsu Kaisen? Oh, yeah, I like Eden Zero more. I like Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm not as I don't like the main cast nearly as much. I don't think like the adventures as fun. The thing about Jujutsu Kaisen's anime is it's crisper. I mean, we haven't gotten to some of the big fights in Eden Zero, but the thing is, like with Jujutsu Kaisen's anime, they went heavy on it, so that's completely different. I don't know if they're going to. Man, I will be as sad as I want for that scene. Don't make me time you out on that, villain, fake, not me. The people saying that Jujutsu Kaisen or the Demon Slayer are right if they're referring to the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen and fans have a lot of really dumbass takes. Like, there's this weird thing. I mentioned it today, and I've talked about it before, that the part of Demon Slayer's fandom that was really, like, where it's, like, notorious cringe and just dumb comments, like, they vanished randomly, and I think they just went to Jujutsu Kaisen, because the Jujutsu Kaisen, like, fandom has had a lot of dumbass takes since the anime came out, and it's, like, stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, one guy today, I think it was yesterday, that I'm sure a lot of people saw on the timeline, where he's, like, talking about how Jujutsu Kaisen's better because they don't, like, have... Like, there's like way more people with monozone than there are with domain expansion. When there's, I think it's like 8 monozone users, 7 domain expansion users, and Black Clover has twice as much content as Jujutsu Kaisen. So, you know, if one of the things I was saying is like cut it in half, or just go to where Black Clover was at the time of like chapter 146. I think the only character with monozone at the time was Marileona, and then right? Pretty sure it's just the two. So it's just goofy. Lucy over Urza. I do like Lucy more than Urza. I stop following Josuke and Quan do the repeated Rill slander. I'll stop slandering. I'll stop slandering Rill when he does stuff. I think the Rill slander, like, I don't hate Rill, but like talking about how poorly Tabata treats Rill, not from a standpoint of like he makes him look dumb a lot, but it's like Rill just doesn't do stuff all the time. Rill was one of the earliest characters in the time skip, and he's done almost nothing. Like, Noct had more going on for him within the first couple chapters of his debut than what Rill's done in the entirety of the time skip. And when he brings up that Rill hasn't really done anything since the fight with it's true. Like, I don't like to hate on Rill. Like, I do it sometimes comedically, but at the same time, like, I think a lot of the Rill slander is justified because of the fact that he doesn't do anything. Right now, he went into the assault on the Spade Kingdom to do nothing. And I know the arc's not over. Like, he could easily pull up and do something at any point in this arc. But as of right now, it's just like, dude, you haven't done anything. And he's got such a good magic. It's so flexible. It's got high utility. He can make minions. He can use multiple elements. And on top of that, now with runes and I assume true magic, he should be able just to turn any of his painting elements into the true magic versions. So when is he going to step up and actually, live up to the captain role? That's one of the things about the Rill slander you have to keep in mind. If Rill next chapter did something really cool and really, again, lived up to his position as a captain, the Rill slander would stop. Look at like the people that were making jokes on and then Boreas happened, and then people stopped. Because most of the time it's not that people hate these characters, it's just like clowning them for not doing stuff. And I can kind of see that's one of the things, like with Gray. Like, I know when the Gray slander is going to stop the second Gray gets some like really OP new feat. Like, once his rematch with Hakune happens and we see whatever his transcended magic is, that's when people are going to like that the whole Gray slander is going to go silent. And that's the same thing that happened with slander. It'll happen with the Rill slander too. Look at Magna. Nobody's going to be saying shit about Magna soon. Like, especially after this chapter. Like, that is already, like, it by itself is going to cut Magna slander down drastically. Good animation will make people brain dead. It's just like the bad take people, really. Because like you look at other series with bad animation or good animation, it doesn't usually happen. But it is very consistently shows that don't have that much fan service. And I mentioned before, something about fan service I think just either filters out like cringy people, or maybe like they just realize that fan service does make people happy enough that they don't get these like weird, cringy, crazy fests. Because like none of the series that have like become notorious for bad fandoms have much for fan service, whereas other big series that have fan service, you know, on both sides, you know, you can get fan service on female characters, male characters, whatever. Their fandoms don't usually have that much of a problem. Like even looking at One Piece's fandom, you know, biggest manga there is, you know, has regular fan service. The biggest problem that like the fandom has is mostly that they're kind of like they're kind of like smug when it comes to like always wanting to like flex One Piece's success and stuff on other fandoms. But like outside of that, they don't do any of the cringy stuff that like Attack on Titan fandom does, My Hero fandom does, freaking Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen fandom. They don't do that. And like again, like look at Eden Zero. Like I haven't seen any Eden Zero fans, even while the anime has really been picking up. The fandom's becoming more active. It's growing. It's got titties and dudes with abs all over the place, so nobody's apparently mad. I'm just saying. Next time like a series pops, probably Chainsaw Man. Just watch. Like it's not gonna be the same thing as Jujutsu Kaisen. Something's gonna happen. The cringy people are gonna see that there's fan service, and Denji just wants to, loses virginity and touch some tits, and they're gonna have nothing to say. They're just gonna be like, I don't want to do this, and then they'll get to, I don't know, some other series where it gets popped, and they're gonna kind of just flex on that or something. Let me see. Let me get to where I was in the comments. The animation for My Hero is as good as usual. I'll probably watch the villain arc stuff, or at least clips. It's like Rax, the villain hero. No, the villain dude is weird, and I wish you'd change his name, because at some point he's gonna say something, and people are gonna assume it's me, and I'm gonna get mad. I did read Black Torch. I was mad that it got canceled, because I liked the art style. I thought it was interesting. What is the new series? It's called I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called. I read the first few chapters. Rax becoming a Celine stan right before eyes. I've been a Celine stan since she showed up. What do you mean? I said that like when she showed up too. I was like, there's not any characters I would really say I simp for, except for Celine. Like Celine was like the first one to be like, yeah, I'll just take that. Cause like, I mean, simping for fictional characters is fine. Just don't simp for real people. Think you over at Wendy power-wise? I don't over at Wendy power-wise. I'd say I fairly rate Wendy overall, like as her overall moveset, because strength-wise, like in terms of raw power level and whatnot, she's not that crazy. It's more of just the fact that her utility is so good, and on top of that, she can fight. Like, and Wendy's a very versatile character, and on top of that, she's got Irene in her head now, so Irene can just keep teaching her, like, unfair enchantments. Like, you have this very high level of talent Enchantress Dragon Slayer with what I would assume the greatest Enchantress in the history of the fairy tale universe, who invented dragon slaying magic, right there to, to teach her stuff. Like, very unfair for him, but I mean, like, just because, the events set up that it made sense, and until she leaves Wendy's body, Wendy's OP in that regard. King Sinbad now, Sinbad's been making some questionable statements. Which moment do you enjoy more, Max's moment against 100 Years Quest or Magnus' moment against Dante? Max's. So the reason I would say, Magnus' moment, the thing that I really liked actually about it is the fact that Magna and Zora watched the fight against Dante. That was my favorite part of the chapter, to be perfectly honest. Well, the thing that I really liked about Max versus, like, Max having his moment 100 Years Quest is not because it was Max, is because I thought that how the fight went, how Wendy buffed up, like, these lesser characters who otherwise would never get a chance to, be that focused or important in a scenario like this high level and stuff. I thought that was really good because it showed a lot of like the good values of the guild itself. It gave relevance and spotlight to older characters logically, and I was super, super happy about how events from Alvarez, stuff with Agio, played over into Max's character. And I've always liked Max. Like, I always thought Max was a pretty cool character. Well, I liked him a little bit, in part one, but after he, got older, got a bit cooler design. I just thought he was more interesting and neat. I always was wondering, like, why didn't he get more spotlight after the fight with Natsu? But him going to Alvarez and getting aid and teaching from Agio, I love that. I thought that was great. and clearly, like, what he just calls Agil, a king of a continent, an emperor, by his first name, like, clearly they must be on good terms. So I just thought that was a really nice character piece that, like, Mishima didn't have to do it. It wasn't important to what was going on in the story. It was more just expanding on previous events and connecting them together in a way that really helped a character that doesn't usually get a lot of attention. So with Max's, it has more to do with the previous events and tying into the what was going on at the time. Whereas, like, Magna's is, I personally more focused on Magna, whereas Max has had multiple other pieces, I think, on top of it being like a cool moment for Max. Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh yeah, the Jujutsu Kaisen stands, man. They're real goofy. The ones that kind of really get weird about the female characters right now are kind of like the silliest. I saw one that was like saying how guys shouldn't watch or read Jujutsu Kaisen because something about the female characters, and I was just like, man, you're stupid. Shut the hell up. Like, I couldn't believe somebody tried to push that. I've seen some bad takes lately, and that was definitely one of the worst ones. Let me see. I hate how kind Shiki was. Shiki's a nice dude. What do you mean? I don't know if blasting Shura with the cannons would have really done anything. If they pulled out with that one Starbringer, probably would have killed him. Other than that, like, I don't think just random blasts would have done anything, because he could have just flown around them. Like, we know how, like, flexible the Satan gravity is. Good animation. Oh wait, I read this one. It's sad when Jujutsu fans hype up Nobara. The thing about Nobara that's really funny, like, I do think she's a good character, but she's definitely overhyped tremendously. The thing that's going to be really funny, and I won't go into story-wise spoilers for maybe any anime onlys, but after that last episode kind of airing the story, she doesn't really do anything. Like, it's going to be funny for, like, the people that are fans of her, they're anime onlys, and then, like, they're going to watch the movie, they're like, no Kugisaki in there, they're going to get to the second season. Kugisaki doesn't really do anything. They're going to get the third season, nothing really going on there. There's, like, a part, but it's going to be funny from that standpoint. And that's why, like, with Kugisaki stands, I haven't really bothered a whole lot with them, because most of them are anime onlys, and they're going to be on a drought. Let's see. Didn't like how Yuno was second person to show Monozone instead of the captains. Well, Monozone isn't like a direct power level thing. Monozone is a technique thing. So you have to be well set into a specific style of, like, how you fight and your magic and what. It's kind of like, runes or true magic, ultimate magic, trap magic, like all the certain variables in their fighting style in the power system. That it really comes down to what the characters are good at, what their decisions are of learning. Because, like, not every character of a certain power level is going to have Monozone. We haven't seen that from, like, every character. If every character from, say, Marileona up, or maybe, like, Marileona, like, a circle around her, like, including the other captains, like, everybody, like, starting their area is going to have it. I don't know, I think that would kind of take away a little bit of the specialness to it, kind of like of runes. If everybody has runes, if everybody's got true magic, if everybody's got something, it's nicer that certain characters, because of their talents, what they're good at, what their magic is and whatnot, that they have Monozone, where some people have true magic and whatnot. And then you see where the prodigies are people like Julius, eventually Yuno, because Yuno has Monozone, but really, like, you show Yuno how to do stuff like runes and true magic, he's going to figure it out. He's going to be able to do it. It really just is going to come down to when he is shown that and when he's going to, like, practice it. I don't think he's going to be, like, told it and he just knows it. But obviously, like, his talent is going to... He's so talented that he's going to pick it up way faster than other characters. Recently got into Deep Greyman, and that on top of being a Hunter fan is pain. Yeah, that must suck. That's unfortunate. Very annoying. Just Kaisen only fans say that their series actually, yeah, the whole thing where they're like, dude, they're the only ones that are doing anything with the females. It's like, you probably have watched like 4 anime, man. It's really just the people that only know like certain Shonen Jump series. Like, they probably only know like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. Well, not Bleach, because Bleach has actually not every female character, but like they definitely have like some female characters that get way better treatment than like the women in Dragon, than any of the other ones that I mentioned. Like One Piece doesn't do nearly as much with their females. Naruto, especially Dragon Ball, but like if you just peer out into other magazines, you're gonna run into a lot more consistent like treatment of like the female characters. Let's see. Real has true magic and runes, where your boy Yun doesn't. If Yuno had those, like, man, he that would just lead to Real looking worse. Mars will show up. I hope so. Well, if Mars shows up, he's gonna have better feats than Rill. I 100% believe that. That's not like Magna's thing was like if Magna does something relevant, it's gonna be above anything Rill has currently. Whereas Mars should absolutely just be more powerful than him. Like I don't believe for a second that Rill is more powerful than Mars. I really don't. You put Rill against Mars, and Mars is gonna completely dominate him. Like one of the things that that Josuke has mentioned a lot about talking about Mars that I've always agreed with is people forget how powerful Mars was. Like Mars was a really strong dude. Like if Mars was introduced like way later and we saw him say like maybe in I'm trying to think of a part, like maybe the one part right before Witch's Forest, and maybe like he fought a captain, we would see like the full extent of where Mars was. I mean, like Mars got screwed over because of stuff like anti-magic and getting Bell and whatnot. He would, I don't know, like I don't think, well actually pre-Dimension / Yami, I think he could contend with. I don't know if he could beat him. I don't think he could. But I mean, post-Dimension / Yami, it's like no, good luck. But prior to that, I think he would have done fine. I think he would have been able to put up a good fight. But obviously, Yami at that point, way better of a fighter, way more magic. Oh, way more versatile how to use this magic, not better magic. Because I mean, like Mars has one of the best combos out there with having mineral magic and the fire magic that's centered around healing and whatnot. He's actually got a really strong moveset. Let me see. Let me get some more of these comments. I want to speed up because I want to keep relatively close to the bottom of the chat. I don't want to get behind racks. What about Kaiser from Purple Orcas? He barely does anything. I haven't seen anyone give him shit. The thing about Kaiser was retired and came back, whereas Rill is like hyped up prodigy and he's got like a way better magic. And then Kaiser's magic is not designed like Rill's. Kaiser is set primarily for defense, and if you just do what Fuego Leon did, like you can beat Kaiser. Like Rill's has one of the more overall flexible magics in the whole series, and then he's got like the whole prodigy hype. He's got runes, true magic. He is in the current like story arc area where the big events are happening, and he's not doing anything. Kaiser at least was and Kaiser and the Purple Orcas at least were going up against the ancient demon, doing their best to push it back against it. What's Rill done? Rill and Kaiser really until that point hadn't had an opportunity to do anything since the time skip. Rill showed up almost immediately after we got back from the 6-month time skip, and still hasn't done anything since. He was one of the first people to show up. Like you had Asta, obviously, Noelle and everybody, but Rill, we saw Rill like in the same chapter as Charmy, and like what has he done since then? I mean, even with Charmy, like we got the whole thing where like what is his name, Flog or whatever? No, crap, I can't remember the plant magic spirit guardian. We at least got that, like clearly he was like Charmy had overtaken him by a lot, whereas like Rill couldn't take Charmy. Like Rill couldn't deal with Charmy, so I was like he needed Asta to help him. So it's like the first thing that got tied to his character when he came back was somebody else was too much for him that he needed Asta to help. Like it's just he gets in a really bad spot a lot of time. Is weekly manga really going on a break? Yeah, so Golden Week, Toro Robinson, I don't know if you're still in the comments because I know I'm a little bit behind. I don't think I'm that far behind. But Golden Week, it's a holiday, so they'll have that week off, and then I think it's next week. I think next week is one of. Let me Google it real quick. Golden Week, Japan. Let me look and see exactly what it is. Yeah, it's the 29th, so it's next week, and then it ends. I think it ends essentially the middle of the following week. So next Sunday on the the second, we won't get any chapters for weekly stuff. But I think usually Weekly Shonen Magazine will stagger it, so they'll take a different week off than like Shonen Magazine. So we'll get at least 1 week off for each of those, and like a lot of the weekly stuff, and then it'll get the following week you'll get back on track. Who do you think will be the strongest out of the 4 knights? Do you mean the 4 Black Dragon Slayer knights, or do you mean the 4 knights of the Apocalypse? Which one do you mean specifically? Because there are 2 groups right now relevant that are 4 knights. Jack deserves less slander than Rill. The Jack slander, though, is almost entirely from Rill fans because they're still mad that he was... Or than Yuno fans because they're still mad that Jack was talking shit to Yuno. Suzaku one-shotting Natsu and Urza is what I wanted to see, honestly. I mean, base Natsu. Urza, I actually really would have liked to see it if Urza was at full... Like, she was rested, she had, like, her fully reset level of magic, and she was ready to fight from the go. I would have liked to see how that was going. Natsu definitely, like, base Natsu, sure. Like, I think Fire Dragon King Mode Natsu would have, would have been able to fight back. And then I would really like to see what Dragon Force Natsu versus Suzaku would go, like, how it would go. Because Suzaku should have Dragon Force, but I don't know if he would ever use it. Tristan as the strongest of the 4 knights. It wouldn't make any other sense any other. What do you mean? Like, him being the son of Meliodas and Elizabeth doesn't really matter when all 4 of the 4 knights have the same level of hype. He might be the strongest at the start, him or Lancelot, but I mean, Percival's definitely going to be the strongest overall. I mean, he's the main character, but they could easily just be all equal. It's really going to just depend on when we see them. Because the thing about like the Meliodas and Elizabeth, backing hype, is it doesn't really matter because all 4 of them were hyped up to be able to take down Arthur, and we know Arthur with the Chaos is beyond Meliodas. Let's see. So happy, not a lot of people are on Fire Force because they would be so... Wait, what? Oh, people are starting bugging Fire Force? What do you mean? Do you mean on Fire Force? Like hyping up kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen? If that's what you mean, that's because Fire Force has fan service, and the complaining people don't like fan service. What do you mean AOT doesn't have fan service? Oh, I mean, the Titans literally are just big, like, dolls. Like, they don't have any genitals or anything. Like, they don't even have, like, outside of Annie, they don't really have any titty Titans. I want to see the Chainsaw Man opening so bad. Yes, dude, I want to hear what they do. Like, I'm hoping for some sick metal. Actually, you heard there's going to be a Fairy Tail Under Quest. Fairy Tail and Eden Zero announcement next week? Dude, I hope so. I didn't hear it was next week. I would love a 100 Years Quest anime announcement. Or, you know what, if that wasn't the case, I would hope for a Heroes anime announcement. I think that would be really cool. I'd be willing to wait a little bit further for a 100 Years Quest anime if it meant getting Heroes animated. Because that's obviously good for all 3 fandoms. Black Torch reminded Jujutsu Kaisen before. I mean, yeah, but with much cleaner animation. Or, art, rather. I think it was just kind of the tone, a little bit of agree, and the main character still with his grandpa talks. Fandoms are always comprised of preteens. Yeah, it's all these. I mean, there's also just like the general weird clout chasers and stuff. Hiromashima was working on a new RPG. Yeah, he's doing the art for a Dragon Quest or a Final Fantasy one, I think. No, it's by this guys who do Final Fantasy, or is it Dragon Quest? All I know is it's like by one of the same companies, but it's got it's called like what? Like Gate of Nightmares or something? It's a new thing. By the way, Rex, if you don't, I'm here. Phil Jones, don't worry, I see you still. Don't worry, I don't know if you heard me before my stream died like a little bit ago, but I haven't forgotten. I'll give you my King of the Chat tomorrow in Josuke's stream. Let me see. Where was I? My cat hit my keyboard, so I lost my spot. Rex, the Hero vs. Rex Phil are going to be lit. The villain dude is goofy. He's like a gag character. The new series is called, Heart Gear. I was remembering it had heart in it something, but I wasn't too sure. I've read the first few chapters. It looks pretty good. I like the main character, the robot dude. And you can't have my cats. They're a villain. Manga's moment so much better in that Max chapter. I don't think so. I really liked the Max chapter. I thought the thing of it, like, with the Magna one is Magnus was better for a singular character, for, like, an in-the-moment thing. But I thought Max's was better for a large scale of like how it happened, connecting to stuff from the previous arc, how it set up, him getting stronger from a really OP other stand user, and essentially using the now more kind of calm relationship between Ishgal and Alvarez that he was able to do that. I thought that was really nice. Let's see, Magna. Oh yeah, I don't know. I really liked Magna, or I liked Max's better personally. But like I said, that was a personal thing, just because like of how I liked how it worked out. Let's see. How do you feel about Eden Zero's animation? I already said I liked it. Yo, Rex, what do I miss? I'm mostly just talking, and then my stream died for a few minutes. But other than that, that's good. My novel is at 20 chapters. That's good. Keep trying, man. You like power through. Eden Zero has a fire opening and ending. I heard the ending like once or twice. The ending was kind of just like one of those early series endings. Like I wasn't too hyped. I do like the opening. The way Doom went down was probably my favorite of any of the God Seeds. I liked how all the God Seeds went down. I thought they were all pretty good. Because the thing about the God Seeds that I was hoping one of them was going to be a fighter, but one thing that I didn't really think about when I was going into it was the fact that none of them had really been, like, none of them had any fighting experience. Because they, like, Alderaan had been asleep for the last 300 years resting, so none of them got up and really would have had any battles. So, like, them just being, like, hacks and like, a, dangerous power, but not having their own kind of like, stats and feats and, just growth through battles was fine with me. It's been consistent throughout the series, especially that characters who are more caster hacks fighters than actual, like, can actually melee fight usually don't have a, like, high durability. Look at someone like Nineheart. Mars Earth Spirit, man, Mars Earth Spirit would be cool. I did read the next Eden Zero chapter spoilers. There's no bar. I have no idea what like the status of Kukisaki is. Let me see. I don't want to miss comments. Rex, do you think Chokepo is a mirror in disguise? I hope not. That'd be weird. That actually would be really cool, though. I'm not gonna lie. I never thought about that. That would be a really interesting twist. Been thinking about playing Pokemon Soul Silver again, Total and Cynical. So many choices. I do really like Soul Silver and Heart Gold. That's probably my favorite singular Pokemon game. Because like it has so much in it. And then I always really like the fact you could have your Pokemon follow you. I don't know why they don't do that in more games. It just makes the game feel better, like when you have, like, say, a Pokemon, at one point with you, and then, like, when it evolves, and then you have, it's like, bam, now it's, it's upgraded, evolved version following you instead, and you just see it kind of progress. I think that really added to the tone of, like, Pokemon in the concept of how the games and, like, being in their world would be like. Irax, is there any element you would like to see by the 5th gen? I would probably like to see some kind of mirror-like magic. That'd be cool. I did actually think, like, I was wondering, I remember talking to somebody, Iron Nancy, and we were talking about how if Mishima's next character contest, like he did with the Oceans for Eden Zero, if he did it for 100 Years Quest, like, what would be, like, a dragon slayer that you'd want to get in there, right? I was thinking, like, one of them would be, like, maybe if you had, like, a mirror dragon or something. I think that would be really sick. The ones that I am really hoping for, like, Blood, Plasma, like a Radiation Dragon, like, stuff like that. Plasma and Blood have been, like, on my list for a while. I would love to see, like, pretty much, if you had Plasma, you could pretty much have just a lightsaber. Let's see, it's not at me. Are any of you watching the new My Hero season? I'm not. Maybe at some point, so I'll go check. What's ironic is that Ajo's extreme arrogance says think royalty like sure up, but his uncle humble him. Well, they mentioned that like he just calmed down right afterwards, and I've always just looked at Ajo as like he just gets super into whatever he is doing. Okay, cool. You're a soldier essentially. You're like a high level person in Zaref's army. We're gonna send you in, and he took that super seriously. Like, when he was chasing the Fairy Tail cast, he took that super seriously, too. He was really, putting in his effort. Let's see. I actually would really like to see, I would really like to see him do some stuff again. Like, Ajo, I always liked Ajo's magic. A Sand Dragon Slayer would be really cool, too. But I don't think it would be a Sand Dragon Slayer 5th gen, because so far 5th gen has always been really weird attributes. They haven't been standard elements. Well, let's see. No, I already read this one. Also, if death magic versus infinite magic, who would win? What do you mean by that? Do you mean like if somebody had fairy heart and then like clashed with Zareth using repent or something? Since Yuna and Vonica Dante are siblings, why doesn't Vonica call her brother Oni-chan? I mean, you can call your brother in Japan. You don't have to call him that. Or you can just call him brother. But also, like, in the Black Clover world, they're not in a Japanese like area. Like, they're in a European kind of Western or like medieval Western fantasy style setting. So I don't think they would really do that. Let's see. I just joined, so I don't know if you spoke about this, but did you hear that the big news for Eden Zero anime and Prince Anime, something big is supposed to happen at the end of the month? I heard that too. I'm actually really excited for that. Like, I'm hoping that we can get something about either Heroes or 100 Years Quest anime announcement. I really would love to see something about like either of those. The only thing I'd say again about the 100 Years Quest announcement is please be seasonal. I really don't want it to be weekly. I don't think they could make it weekly, but at the same time, like I never want to let the possibility of that slip my mind. Mars Earth Spirit. Mars, give our Mars Earth Spirit. He's gonna come in heavy. I don't know, maybe Heroes being animated. I think Heroes would be like if I got to choose one for like hey, you can only have one, the other won't happen. I would pick the Fairy Tail animation one, but if I get to pick, like if both were gonna happen at some point, I got to pick one to happen first. I'd probably pick either Heroes first and then 100 Years Quest anime, or I'd pick 100 Years Quest anime and then in between the first season and the second season have a Heroes anime. Ida's abilities are a combination of Larkade, Fairy Tail, and Master Noah from Eden Zero. Wait, Ida, crap. Hang on, let me try and remember that name. So it's annoying because like the name seems so familiar, and I'm trying to remember exactly where that is. Javaldo. Where's Ida? Like, I feel like the second you tell me, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Like, I'm trying to remember what series. I don't know many hero. I don't know. Maybe the heroes. Oh, I read this. Do you think Ladros, Mars' friend, could become arcane? I would assume that if he absorbs somebody who's arcane's magic, he could fire it back and it would still be arcane. Because he just got a weird magic, but I think that his really just depends on what magic he absorbs. Oh, that's the one chick from Boruto, the new girl. Is her thing like that? I thought her thing was just like she can, she's... Or like Larkade's is more on like his whole like first one with pleasure is like this weird pleasure until you die kind of thing, whereas like hers is like you just somehow if you come into contact with her you just start simping for her, you somehow just are in affections of her, and then her just knowledge of things you can just like kind of almost astral project or use like a level of clairvoyance. What's up, Kill West? How's it going? See, like I said, like the second I saw where the character was, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. It's just because she was brand new, and I was thinking like Eden Zero, Fairy Tail, Black Clover. I was trying to be like, where is this from? And I was like, oh yeah, Boruto, brand new. Kaiser being 49 is funny. Yeah, he's an old dude. He was retired. I think we'll see Natsu, you stop projection magic. I still don't think that was stop projection magic. I think it had to do with just having soul resistance. The fact that similar to how he has resistance to time-based abilities. It has to do with like how Zareth made him, and it's just one of the aspects of him being an Aetherius. And he just assumed it was thought projection magic. Because the thing about thought projection magic is it doesn't reshape souls the way that it did with Natsu. Thought projection is like think of like when we saw Jalal using it. You can make like a different, like essentially like a copy of herself. You can send out a projection. I don't really see what Natsu did, an aspect of thought projection, unless thought projection lays into just the idea of reshaping your magic into like an image of you or something. Something I'm a little confused about for Manga is I'm wondering when Mimi fights Lucy, how do you think will happen? If you haven't already talked about. Well, it's really going to come down to what Lucy can do currently with like all her abilities. I think with her. Just her large scale summoning now is like all, by itself a huge jump against Mimi, and then if she can summon the Celestial Spirit King like Mimi's done, Mimi would be done at that point. The Celestial Spirit King would come in and just completely maul him. It's gonna come down to just how smart Lucy can be with like how much more powerful she is right now. because she didn't have the knowledge when she fought him the first time, and because she didn't know what she was capable of when she was fighting me the first time, she only did what she believed she could do. Whereas now, I really see it just going a much different way. I think she'll be fine. It'll be like whatever Gray does. If Gray can get past Diamond Effect hacks, then I think it will just come down to, whatever trump cards Hakune has otherwise. But I'm kind of hoping that Hakune just doesn't get defeated and gotten rid of, because I do like her design. But I mean, at the same time, she hasn't had, she's not like she's like some really big important character. She just has interesting right now. So we'll see how that goes. Have you heard? Oh wait, the stuff with Hero in the game. Yeah, I think it looks pretty sick. I might get it if it gets a westernized version. How do you feel about Eretz and Stacy Interstellar not having a chain of command? I thought that was fine. I am wondering though if there's anybody ranked above them, like in total, if they have like an overall leader. But they, in this Interstellar specifically, like none of them are ranked above the other. But if there's somebody that is above them in the the totality of their organizations, obviously you see. Face Mimi, Grand Face, Sakune, and Wendy focuses on healing Natsu and Ursa. The Natsu and Ursa healing, like, the fights and the rematches they're going to be cool, but it's more going to be about, like, what the character, like, what Lucy and Gray can do with transcendent magic and stuff, and, like, what exactly they're going to do to beat their opponents. Whereas, like, with Wendy, I'm really hoping that it actually turns out that Suzaku didn't cut them as deep, as that it is, in fact, he's a blood, like, the Red Dragon slaying aspect is blood, because then it'd be like, maybe Wendy can't heal him as fast because she's got to deal with, like, the blood on them. Because say, like, Suzaku didn't actually cut him that deep. That's blood from his sword and, like, his magic. And so, similar to how when Wendy was trying to heal Natsu on Sirius Island, but it wasn't working because of, his scarf being affected by Zeref's curse, then I think that would just be cooler. Because otherwise, like, Wendy should be able to heal him just fine. And it would just be like, are they unconscious? Because otherwise, like, I don't really see them in any physical danger, given Wendy is right there. But we'll see. Suzaku going to lose to Selene. Oh, yeah, Suzaku. There's no way Suzaku's going to beat Selene. I don't think that at all. I just want him to do all right. If he can do all right, then we're good. Like, I'm hoping he can, like, maybe, like, if she does, like, a cool attack from the moon, if he can cut it, maybe get some damage. What's Heroes? There's an alternate timeline to Hiro Mishima's series where they're all in a crossover setup, like where you meet like the guy who created their whole multiverse, and because of events, like their timelines keep crossing over, and they're able to beat each other and stuff. Why do people Goddess? Wait, what? Why don't people pay? Oh, when are you talking about pay Wendy to heal? Wendy's not gonna make people pay him to heal him. Like, she's just nice like that. Tamaki wants to be a nun, but she has sit and written all over. Oh, she's fine. It's not her fault. She's not doing that on purpose. Natsu should be able to fight Sako if he was ready. If he, like, it's because he was in base, really. Like, if he wasn't in base, I think he would have been fine. What idea of freedom was worse? Jalal's when he was possessed, or Aaron's? I mean, Jalal's whole setup was he was trying to essentially bring back this godlike person that would have created a world where they could have all been free. Whereas Aaron's, I just didn't really like Aaron's setup, because Aaron's was like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill everybody and then kind of like people be free while they rebuild. But it's like with that idea that eventually it's kind of like the MCU Thanos, how his whole plan was like, I'm gonna fix everything by cutting the population in half. It's like that really just kind of fixes it for the time, and not really, because like when you really think about it, cutting population in the universe by half at random, what happens if, like, say, one of the people that gets erased is, like, somebody working on some really important cure for a disease, or, like, maybe a guy in charge of, like, a nuclear power plant or something, and then, like, because he's not there, it explodes and kills way more people. Even the general idea of it, it's just like, no, you're just making it for a time being, go back. Because, I mean, like, cutting it in half, like, they're just going to repopulate. That's kind of the same thing I thought about Aaron's. It's like, you're just kind of going to piss people off for a little bit. Eventually, they might just come after you anyway. Or not come after him, but want to get revenge. Because, like, you have to keep in mind, even the people that defeated Aaron, there are still people that might blame Eldians because Aaron's existence, killed their aunts, like, all these people at some point in the world. But, I mean, that's obviously, like, a theory, or it's like a general idea that could happen following it. But I mean, as long as As long as it never happens, it's like kind of like, well, then it's just kind of headcanon-ish. Who won Zagreed versus Twin Devil debate? I think they just kind of come to a conclusion. The thing that Josuke was going off of that I agreed with him is that it, like, I personally think that it's going to get revealed that Zagreed is was from a higher floor. But I mean, again, that's me just with a theory. Like, I can't use that for a canon debate yet. But the thing about like them, like the fight between them, is the Twin Devils aren't very smart and they're not very skilled fighters from what we saw. So even if they are stronger than Zagreed, that means they're gonna underestimate him and they're gonna fight really stupidly. And the second Zagreed gets in with like his trident, he's gonna skewer them and he's gonna kill them because they're not very smart. It's kind of like how, like I said, Dante, because he's too confident in his own abilities, got caught by something. If Lilith and Nama, like, probably not both at the same time, but say that one of them was fighting Magna. I don't know the rules and limitations on Magna's chain thing, but, like, let's just assume that because it can affect Dante, that it can affect one of them. Like, say, they just stand there, Magna gets the chain on him, and then they're fighting. It'd just be like, hey, idiot, dodge stuff. Don't let these guys hit you. Dante's is a little bit more understandable because that's something that happens with people that have high regeneration powers. Generally, they're so overconfident and they're healing and stuff, they'll just let people hit them or they just don't care enough to dodge. So it's just like, hopefully Tabata's going to use this whole setup to have Dante learn, yeah, I should probably not let people hit me with their abilities that I don't know what they do. Like, come on, man. As I've mentioned before, I actually do really like Dante. I think Dante's a pretty interesting character. I like his, like, the kind of, like, aspect in his backstory, not his backstory, but his concept and character. Because if you haven't read Hungry Joker, which was the series Tabata did before Black Clover, the main character manipulated gravity. His whole power was centered around gravity. So Tabata kind of took, I would assume, like, some aspects of how he worked and put it into Dante. But kind of like combined that character with like one of the bad guys from Hungry Joker, and that kind of seems to have made Dante to a degree. So I've liked Dante, and I'm just really hoping that he doesn't kind of just stay the way he only is, and that he progresses as a character. And because if he's just, a maniacal psycho the whole time, I can still like him, but his value won't grow from there outside of just being a powerful bad guy. Let's see. Can't someone have a God Seed and Dragon Seed? Wait, what? No, so a God Seed and Dragon Seed are different. The God Seeds are just about how, that's just how Alderaan called, the split off versions of his power and stuff. The Dragon Seed is just like a general concept of, the growing aspect of dragon slaying magic in you. As far as we know, God slaying magic doesn't do that to you. Because with devil slaying, it was like it'll slowly kind of taint your being and your heart and like turn you kind of aggressive and evil from what we saw, which was happening to Gray for a bit before we got it fixed. Are the Moonlit Beauty Gods stronger than the God Seeds? Strength, I don't really know. Right now, I think it's just going to depend on, just how they do in general beyond this. The God Seeds right now have better hacks outside of, probably overall. Overall, they definitely have better hacks, because Yoko doesn't have great hacks, but she has a really good moveset. Like, her moveset is very rounded. Mimi doesn't have anything special about her, at least currently known. Kune's Diamond Effect is really busted. Like, she's got a really good ability. Oh, I just had some stupid notification go off. Go away. But the God Seeds, they all have really good abilities. Like even Metro, the only one that doesn't really have hacks, his is just useful because he can just spam these extremely powerful big golems, these big brutes that can stave off hits from Gajiel and just move around as, a tree dude in the ground, kind of like how Azuma did, and, keep away from them. Like, they have better hacks, but the thing about the Moonlit Beauty Gods is they clearly have better fighting experience. I would wonder how a fight between them would go, though, in reality. I would probably give it to the Moonlit Beauty Gods, just because of the fact that, like I said, they know how to fight, whereas clearly the God Seeds weren't very experienced fighters. But with some of them, like Doom and Metro, or Doom and Gears especially, are like big things. They're like Hakune. If they can get their hacks off, like you're in trouble. Like Doom would beat Mimi probably so fast. Him versus Mimi, like he is a hard counter to any character that, well, not a hard counter, but he's a hard fight for any character 1v1 if they can't do something to get rid of his spores. If they can't overpower his spores or something. And his spores don't seem that crazy in his general kind of like way he's using them a lot of the time. Like the bomb one he was gonna use, I would assume is like his better one because it's going way faster. Whereas when he was just kind of having the spores rain down, they looked like they were just kind of free falling. Ariadne in the Sky is getting an anime win. I don't know. I would love to get an anime. I caught up recently. I'm probably a couple of chapters behind currently, but at the same time, like I would love to get an anime of that. What's his name? Gladius. That dude was my favorite so far. He's a badass. Orochimaru being pardoned was bad. Oh yeah, I don't. That one is like, why? That'd be like pardoning Acnology or something. Like pardoning Orochimaru is weird, because like it's not like pardoning Sasuke, where Sasuke, he was a traitor, he did crime stuff, but like Orochimaru was doing way worse things. He was out there like mutilating and experimenting on like people in mass. Like it was like I still don't agree with that one. That's a really bad one for me. Like they should have just killed Orochimaru off. Or had like the clone, maybe use that clone dude of him as like kind of the replacement for Orochimaru, but have the fact that he's a clone, but he's not the one who committed those crimes. How much magic can the demon dweller absorb? I don't know. I mean, we've never seen like a limit for it, but we know that there should be a limit. We don't know what it is though. I assume that when it comes to the swords, they just scale to Licht. They should just scale to Licht's power, I would assume. Unless there's somebody like maybe whoever made them initially is like more powerful than Licht. I think it would come down to something like that. Because the swords have never been set to Asta. They should be set to, again, someone like Licht or whoever made them. Oh, an English release of Aria and the Blue Sky. I would love that. I would definitely buy those. I prefer to start with basic powers before getting into more complex ones. Yeah, it's usually what I would do too. I like the user anime has some of the same sound effects of Fairy Tail's anime. Yeah, they have some. They keep some pretty normal stuff in there. I really like the cool space soundtrack. I think it just sounds nice. Do you ever watch I didn't watch the UQ Holder anime. I read the manga. I need to catch up at some point soon. Isn't it almost over? Do you have a favorite villain archetype? I don't know if I have a favorite archetype. Like if I had to pick one specifically, I like just like characters who are like villains that when they're ready, like they're ready just to do business. They're ready to go crazy, and they're fine with like flexing on people. They're perfectly fine with just going ham. That's one of the things I loved about Acnology is like when Acnology showed up, that he was just gonna, he was getting ready to go ape shit on some people. Excited for Zero, to be honest. Me too. I'm really excited to see like the fandom get bigger too. Most of the hype news are Shiki versus Jin is gonna be really cool to see in the anime. Death Magic, Infinite Magic, Fairy Tail, Zeref versus Fairy Tail First Guild Master. Zeref would definitely win that. It was confirmed Zero will be 25 episodes. Yeah, I assume it'll go through the Sun Jewel arc, and then season 2 will go in through like we'll go into Belial Goer. What Fairy Tail video we're working on next? I got to do my Dragon Slayer video. I'm gonna do one on where like how I believe hybrid modes work, like Lightning Flame Dragon mode, Iron Shadow Dragon mode, White Shadow Dragon mode. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna talk about after that. I've got one that I want to talk about, like what I think Godzill's next kind of upgrade will be, because Godzilla hasn't got one in a long time. But if my theory on how the hybrid modes and and release the Dragon Slayer magic work, I think my theory that I have for Godzilla is sound. It really is just going to depend on how the scenes that I theorize, how the kind of way that I think this power up will go, if it ends up kind of being set up that way. It's going to depend. I don't want to go too much into it because I want to save it for the video. Because I personally think I might have figured that one out. Because hybrid modes have always been really weird because they're really consistently done in the series, but we don't have a concrete explanation of how they work. It always just involves like somebody eating an element, like a dragon sling element from somebody with a dragon lacrima. Like, it's always been that way. It's always involved the dragon lacrima. But we've never had, like, an outright statement of, like, oh, yeah, it works because of this, like, kind of thing, you know? Let me see. I think I'm almost caught up to the comments. There's a character in Black Clover universe with anti-material magic. Oh, just disintegrate stuff? Oh, dude, we should get into Atomic Dude. Or, like, maybe just like a general eraser person. Or maybe if you have... like, maybe, like, a raw energy erase. Like, they could just kind of, like, apply energy to something and then just, you know, zap it out. That'd be pretty sick. My character can overcome sin-based abilities. He's gonna fight Ghost Rider? Midnight versus Dorothy? Oh, that's actually a really interesting fight. Because the thing about Midnight is he can fight even asleep. So, or, like, her whole thing about, like, putting somebody to sleep in Glamour World doesn't really do anything to him. And Dorothy isn't a physical fighter, so, like, she's not going to have, like, Urza, where Urza just started, you know, putting hands on Midnight. I personally think Midnight would win, because, like, Midnight is just a hard counter to, like, everything Dorothy has. Because, like, he can reflect both magic and physical things. So, like, if Dorothy, you know, throws an attack at her, he can just, you know, mess with it. He can just warp it around. He can also turn invisible. He can do, like, a degree of teleportation. He also has Genesis Zero, so he can just trap her in a different dimension. Like, I don't think Midnight would have, like, a bad time against someone against, like, Yami, because then Yami could, like, you know, use stuff like Dimension Slash and stuff, but I think Midnight would have no problem just reflecting that around, but the second he pulls out something like Death Thrust, Midnight's fucked. He's done. That would put him down. Or as, you know, someone like, actually, I wonder how Jack would do. Like, that'd be weird. Because Jack doesn't have any, like, anything kind of like Death Thrust or any, you know, punching attacks. It's all around the slashing, but, like, he could adapt to reflecting, but, like, that doesn't change the fact that Midnight would still be able to reflect his slashes and his blades. That'd be a weird one, too. But I think Midnight would be able to overcome that one as well, because I think Midnight just has a better overall moveset. But, yeah, like, someone like, say, Marileona would just kind of run a train on him. Let me see. Sup, Rax? I just saw some of the Mission Yozakor family spoilers. Oh, no, I haven't looked at spoilers for that yet. I'm trying not to look at spoilers. Usually, I only look at some spoilers, like, you know, stuff like Black Hole or not. I think Candy Fleur was the only smaller series I looked at spoilers this week, just because it's brand new, so I'm very interested to see how things kind of go. It does not look like it's going to be a gag series, which is big thumbs up for me, and I like that alone makes me hope the series you know, doesn't get axed. But I'm interested to see where things go. The thing though that like about it that I actually have a little bit of a, you know, fingers crossed on is because well, what it is usually when you have a female main character in like a fighting series, you have more female opponents, and I think that'll just be, like, interesting by itself. Just because it'll be cool to have it kind of reversed, because that's one of the things I liked about Nejimaki Kagyu. And, like, usually then it was like occasionally you'd get a male character that knew how to do stuff, but we would just get, like, a big slew of you know, chick fighters that kind of, you know, show up and start being crazy. And we'd probably just get a lot of really neat art stuff with, like, their candy powers and stuff. Usaki uses Blood Dragon Slug magic. How do you think it would interact with Laxus's Blood Red Lightning? Oh, he should be able to counteract that part. It would just come down to Laxus using lightning. Like, if he is a Blood Dragon Slayer, I'd assume that he could beat Laxus just from having a power counter. From just having, like, a way to counteract him. And maybe that would be, like... Well, the thing is, though, like, Laxus, if they fought an Ellen tier, Laxus would still get a boost, too. So, it's a weird one, but I would assume his you know, his red lightning wouldn't be able to really do anything against him. Unless it was almost more of, like, fused to where Suzaku couldn't affect it as much. I don't really know, because I don't think he could affect blood inside people's bodies, but obviously at that point it's blood magic, so he might be able just to eat it. I don't know. The government is lying to you. Lobsters, we're never real. What? Lobsters? I've seen lobsters. Could current Yami and Asta working together beat Margir? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, it's like Asta doesn't really provide anything to Margir. Margir's not using magic. He's using curses. And Margir is actually so much physically stronger than either of them, because Mark was parrying attacks from the Celestial Spirit King, and he was doing that one-handed in base. Mark is a hard fight, like, for them especially. And on top of that, he can absorb Yami's magic. He can absorb light and dark, like we saw that with against Sting and Rogue. So really, like, everything they do, like, doesn't really do anything to Mark, and Mark just has to drop Memento Mori, GG, where they lose. Yeah, they can't, they have nothing to do with Memento Mori. And one of the things about Memento Mori that's a real motherfucker is if it touches you, like the initial kind of setup, you're paralyzed. You can't move, and he's just going to erase you. The Woman's Ground, Juna being the princess. Yeah, I thought that too, because I was like, what's the point of mentioning that? Like, who is it about? Because it's got to have some form of later relevance. And, like, that's the only character that I would assume is going to be, that's the only one I would assume is going to be this reveal, unless it's one of the other oceans. Laxus for weak Godseen Alderaan. I'd still would probably say Alderaan. Because, like, Natsu's attack was huge. And that was Natsu. Like, he had to be in Dragon Force for that. That's, you know, strongest Natsu. And I don't think Laxus is nearly, like, where Dragon Force Natsu is currently. Unless he gets something new, like, on top of it. I don't think he's around that level. Was for Dante letting the world be taken over by devils, or Shura committing robot genocide? Probably Dante. Because, like, the thing about Shura is, with Shura's case, like, a lot of the robots can leave. Like, if they want to, they can leave the Adi Cosmos. But also, like, he's only going after the robots, and there's still the thing about the Eden Zero world that you can kind of understand from the standpoint of some of the characters is like, if you're seeing more of, like, the idea of like robots where they're, you know, they're just machines, whereas, like, obviously, like, you know, we've seen with, like, the Shining Stars, and there are robots in the series that are advanced enough that they're essentially people, whereas Dante is just like, I'm bored, I'm gonna, like, set up the world to be ruined and get everybody killed. His is just way more like, yeah, fuck it, I'm evil, like, kind of thing. Julius versus Ultir, I'd probably go Julius, because the thing about, like, their matchup is Ultir can't affect the human body with her magic. Like, she still, like, is really dangerous to fight because of, like, her whole ability to pretty much no diff, like, a lot of raw, a lot of raw elemental stuff and a lot of physical attacks. She can just, you know, forward it in time, and, like, what we saw with Gray's attacks, ice evaporated. Whereas Julius, if Julius can just get one of his whole, like, accelerating aging balls on her, then she's going to turn to dust. And we don't know if she's going to be able to deal with that. Like, if she could, you know, somehow do a time counter ability to it. And, like, her Ice Make isn't going to do anything to him as well. Like, he just has a better chance against her, whereas I think Ultir would do really well against a lot of Black Clover people. But, like, just the two of them specifically, like, Demaria versus Julius, like, Demaria claps. Like, Demaria just stops time, goes over, and cuts Julius's head off. Whereas Ultir and Julius have, like, he just has a slight advantage on a fundamental level. Because he's got stuff like, you know, he's able to heal himself, he's able to, and then, like, Ultir could still do stuff like probably, you know, she should be fine freezing her wounds. But, like, she doesn't have stuff like precognition, she can't, you know, accelerate on people. I would be curious to know if she could use her Lacrima Orb to absorb Julius's time spells the way that it worked on Xerath's magic. I'd be very curious about that. I think that is something that could be argued. And if she can do that, I think she could beat Julius. That would, I think, be the determining factor. Because she's fast enough. Future Rogue didn't want, like, he left. He's like, I'm not dealing with this chick. Like, she was just dangerous. She was too much for him. And if somebody can get that argument, I think that she could beat him. But only in that proven scenario, I think, at least. Seven Deadly Sins or the Seven Deadly Sins character. Wait, what? Are you talking about for the Four Knights? Or because I think I already answered it, didn't I? Can Wendy exercise Sukuna out of Yuju's spirit with that separation enchantment? Yes, I absolutely think she can. Spider sacrifice, do you think Ultir was unforgivable for everything she's done? No. The thing about Ultier is like Ultier's was a little bit of a complicated scenario because Ultier was fine doing everything she was doing because in her grand scheme of things she was going to reverse time, she was going to go back in time, and by doing so all the atrocities she did would never happen. So in her mind it doesn't matter. It didn't matter if she killed somebody because if she was successful, then they wouldn't, in the fixed time, they wouldn't have died. And once she, once she realized that wasn't going to happen, everything she was doing was kind of false, and really, like, her whole motivation was shattered when she found out the story about her mom. But she wanted to atone for everything she did. So I think Ultier definitely was, I think she definitely atoned for her crimes and her sins, and she was absolutely forgivable for everything that she had committed. It's not like, hey, you're good now, but it's just like I can understand one where she was going, what she was coming off of, but also like the fact that she spent years bettering herself after that and just doing everything she could to make up for it. Like crime sorcery went around, taking down dark guilds for years. The final battle, Raidmaster, when Lucia was dying after losing, Haru still tried to save him. Do you think that was foolish? No, I don't. The thing about Lucia is Lucia had a very complicated way that he thought of everything, that he saw everything. And I would say, like, if you compared it to something like in My Hero right now, I don't think Lucia was so far gone that if he decided to fix himself and see the error of his ways that he couldn't, like, I think he could have, because he didn't have anything like, like where Shigaraki was, just like mass murdering, 2 cities and stuff and just like thinking it was funny. Lucia was on the road to that, but was stopped before it. I think with Haru and the way that Haru had it going, that his was a lot more well-rounded and a lot better of like how it was presented, personally at least. Ian Zero season will end with Digitalis. I don't think it'll end with Digitalis, man. I really don't, because 25 episodes should be, with 2 chapters an episode. I would assume it's going to be at least, past that. It's going to probably go into the Sun Jewel, because the thing about the first season, I think they definitely have to take into account, is that the first season has to end with like a hype enough part to get people really wanting into the second season. Ending with Digitalis, I don't think is that hype. It's a really good arc, but I don't think it's a season 1 ender, whereas ending season 1 with like the stuff with Kurenai and Homura and setting up Drac and Joe would be a much better idea. I've talked about Gate of Nightmares. I mean, I talked a little bit about it. I don't really know anything outside of, Mishima's drawing it. I saw some of the character design stuff. Gacha Ultimate Magical surpassed Sinbad's lightning power, but not the other 6 gen. I could see that, maybe. Well, like, his, like, lightning, like, he tore through a couple mountains with it. I don't know if Gacha can do that. Like, Gacha's lightning is more like, he's got the, like, just, he's got true lightning and stuff. It's powerful. It's got, like, actual real-life lightning aspects to it at that point. But he doesn't have anything at the same kind of like crazy large scale, but we haven't seen Ultimate Magic, so that could, like you said, be the big determining factor of it. I could see him overcoming the lightning aspect, not obviously not Sinbad in total. But I don't remember if Sinbad got anything crazy upgrading, because I remember like in his own story and then like parts before the time skip, unless something happened after the time skip where he got some absurd lightning feat that I never saw. Then, yeah, I could see it maybe, just because, Ultimate Magic is a big factor, and if Gacha is out there creating, like, storms, like, across the horizon, it's going to be real impressive. See, which is the mom of Ida and Zero Crew? She's like the dead mother. She's like their teacher on a field trip. What's Suzaku's magic element? They're not elements. 5th gen has all been a weird attribute, like, looking at any of the other ones. I think his is going to be blood. We haven't got it confirmed yet, though. My personal hopes are for blood magic. Definitely got some sweet users in the police force. Oh, for Candy Flurry? That'd be kind of cool. I don't know about that, though. It'd be really interesting to have one. Like, I wonder what they would use. Maybe, like, gum or... let me think. Oh, actually, that'd be cool. Could you just imagine, like... Just imagine some, like, 20-something-year-old... kind of like prodigy, like kind of pretty much like super powered cop, and she just has like she's constantly chewing gum and like having that whole blowing bubbles kind of like chill, relaxed kind of nature to her, but like her power has to do with gum. I think that'd be really cool. Old tier, yeah, the old tier multiversal thing. That I love that when I run the people that just like wank series. I just pull that. It's like, okay, if I guess we're just going off of every statement like dead ass, then I can just use this. That's just one of those things that you gotta look for if you run into people that are too ridiculous when it comes to power level stuff, and ignore logic for the sake of inflation. And some people are goofy like that. They'll just kind of ignore stuff that makes sense just to say like, yeah, look, bigger power levels, and I'm like, man, come on. I like to see wait, draft sending a Gmail. Wait, what? Let's see. I see. That's great. What I like to see your draft. I don't know, man. Let me think. I both want to. Here's what I'll do. Let me, because I almost forgot. You reminded me to. I wanted to advertise, the people here to join my Discord. So let me post my Discord. If you show up in my Discord and then maybe post it in one of the tabs, maybe one of the smaller ones. Let me see. Do we have a tab for anything like that? I don't know. Maybe I'll make one later and like way down, and I might make one for something. Maybe if like just kind of like offhand discussion. So maybe I can look at it in there. You send me an email, I know it's gonna be huge, and then I'm gonna have to freaking sift through it for who knows how long. So what's my goal? I don't really know if I'm ever gonna get any of my stuff written. Alright, like for the most part, like I mostly just kind of use it to think about, like, waste time, think about the day, kind of just get general ideas going around. Because I also I just like thinking about like a lot of like fiction in general, and like having my own stuff helps me pass the time, keeps me entertained. Would Nineheart with a story be a top tier in Black Clover? Oh, dude, Nineheart would be fucking deadly. You put Nineheart around some of them, like you put him around Narrow, bam, he's got a freaking Lich and Lumiere Historia. Like he is really weird. He's kind of like Wolfen, or Rades, for example, where his position is power wise is very it's very situational, and like what exactly, like where exactly he's around, who he's around, who he's around that has like people that have died. It's like way different than say like someone like Wall. Like Nineheart is just he's like a wild card, I think, just to put him in there, because like you can just like put him in something like put him in somewhere like One Piece. You put him around someone that met Whitebeard, bam, he just pops up. Whitebeard, he just pops up. Roger and Ace and like all these guys are just kind of like, hey, what's up? He's just got all these minions. Vengeance versus Ozma, who wins? Ozma fundamentally counters William at pretty much everything, because the way that Azuma's magic primarily works is he's manipulating the magic in the earth through trees and stuff, and William's whole setup of how his magic works is he's like absorbing mana into his plants and trees to utilize and stuff. So like Azuma legitimately could just take over William's magic. Like he hard counters him at a fundamental level. What do you think Holy is up to? What part in the war do you think she'll play? I think she's actually going to be doing stuff in a different cosmos, and we'll see her after this arc. At least it's my guess. I bet Holy has a religious group. She's probably got her own group of simps. I have a theory that Yuji will get all of Sukuna's fingers. I feel the characters will do what they can to save him, no matter. No spoilers, please. I mean, I could see something like that happening. Ida's ability is so broken, I wonder who can fight against her. Man, I mean, if you can fight back against, like, just being a simp, like, I imagine you can defeat her. Let me see. Aside from the Ototsukis, I mean, yeah. Speaking of old tier, was only in the anime that Brain is shown in the real mastermind behind old tier again. The group. Yeah, I saw that. I would be very curious to know if Mishima would co-sign that to make that canon, because a lot of it makes sense. It really just would depend, because then, oh man, he did that, and then like it should set up canonizing the scene where Jalal was around Brain in when he was a kid, and like that one part where he crushes a mountain and he kind of just condenses it into nothing and like makes a mini black hole in it. I'd just be like, holy shit, just give that to Jalal, just add it to him. Oh, what's up, Gene? How's it going, man? How are you doing? Think Inzero will have a bigger body count in Jujutsu Kaisen? Yeah. If they just blow, they're kind of already do like in total, because like, what was it? The stuff with Mueller, he blew up a small planet. When he removes something like Boruto's karma, I think so, because just the way that it works. She's just separating some foreign entity from his body. I don't think it would be. I don't know. Oh, actually, no. I would assume it'd be power level based, just based off of like. Otherwise, Irene would have been fine just ripping out Fairy Heart. So I don't know about how Momoshiki would be, because like Momoshiki, I don't think he's. Is he like? Does he have like his own power level inside of Boruto? Because I remember when he took over Boruto's body, it was like he was just more progressed in the form with the horn, and then he had way better control over the karma ability. I don't remember if he himself just like Boruto became more powerful. Momoshiki in his body. I don't remember that. Sinbad was able to rewrite reality. I know, like God Sinbad. We're talking about like Sinbad as just his lightning Jin. How strong do you think the Team Knots would be if they had Zeref as... Oh, holy shit. Zeref would be unfair, because like, he could give him black magic, he could just upgrade all of them across the board, because Zeref was a prodigy. Like, Irene talked about that as a dragon. Irene was one of the most powerful people on the planet. She was a dragon on top of that. A high-level enchantress. The strongest enchantress probably, like, known in the world. Made one of the strongest magics ever. She spent hundreds of years trying to alter her form. Nothing. Zeref literally walks up, snaps his fingers. She even says that like he was God. He was able to do stuff that she had been trying to do, and it was nothing to him. Would have been more hacks oriented than physical. Wait, what? Let me see. What did that say? Oh, wait. I don't know where this comment was. That would be more hacks. Oh, it's probably talking to me. One of the main complaints with My Hero is how relative to the power system. There is no power system. Quirks aren't a power system. They just have an ability. It's like trying to look at X-Men mutants. Like, they just have an ability. There's no energy system outside of, like, your stamina. There's nothing in My Hero that is, like, something like mana or cursed energy, ether, freaking ether nano, like any of these things. You don't have that. It's just a quirk. Or Horikoshi's. He's not writing a power system. It's one of those things. Like I'm always wondering. Like the people, it's like why does like people say like My Hero power system? It's like My Hero doesn't have one. And just really quick, because we're a little bit over an hour in, I'd really appreciate everyone who's here. If they could thumbs up the stream, friend that like button, subscribe button if they haven't subscribed already, and always optional if they ever feel like throwing a dollar or something my way, throwing a super chat. They don't have to. Super chats and donations are never required. They're just entirely as is donations and never needed for me just to stream. Let me get back to some of the comments. What's up, Robin McLennan? How's it going? Most of Deku wins aren't his. Oh, there's still Deku wins. He just has a really unfair main character. Dorothy versus Licht, who would win? Oh, Doryu. Oh man. I would say probably Licht. Probably Licht because we know where Licht scales up to. Like he should be able to affect magic in general. Doryu does have curses and stuff and like the dark magic, but I think Licht overall should be fine. That is a little bit of a hard one though, for real. Like just because Doryu was a really good fighter. I'd be curious to know about like how Licht would try and fight him with the Twilight Sword, because that sword is like that thing is nasty. A sword that just pretty much just like you get cut by it, you're just gonna keep bleeding. Your wounds aren't gonna heal unless you break the sword. You're just in pain. Shiki Overdrive versus Veto, dude. Oh, Veto from the Water Temple. Shiki's gonna body him, dude. He's just gonna meteor breaker him from the start. He's done. Like if it was the Veto that was against Marileona, that'd be different. But like the Water Temple Veto, yeah, he should be fine. Seeing a lot of Seven Deadly Sin fans saying on Twitter that Meliodas can no-div Asta and Yuno. I don't think so. The thing about it is like he lost his immortality. He has to have a sword, so if they take a sword away, he doesn't get stuff like full counter, revenge counter, or any of those abilities. He's a magic user, so like you have Asta there in general, and he doesn't have any experience fighting somebody that has anti-magic, so I don't really know what he's going to do. And something about the Seven Deadly Sin burst that is canon is if you take out their weapon, because the sacred treasure and stuff, if you have certain weapons, they're like conduits. You're able to draw more of your abilities and powers out if you have them. So if you take that away from Meliodas, he's going to get weaker. Who's your favorite demon god from Rave Master? Oh man, Megiddo. Come on, that's the easy one. You should be able to guess that. Like, Megiddo was so cool. Like, he was just this giant lava lion demon. Like, he was badass. He had so many hype moments. He was the earliest one to show up. His design just looked cool. He's like just this. He's either just looks like this big scary lion, or he's standing up on all fours, looking like a monster. If he was badass. Shiki go to the dark side, or Mora should find him. Man, that would make me sad though. No, Deku wins only because of plot. That's not true. I mean, like, Deku's the ones where Deku unlocks a new quirk is just kind of like a little bit, but I mean, like, that's more of like, main character powers and stuff. But like most of the time, it's just him, taking that whole 100%, breaking his arms and shit. Momoshiki versus Irene. Oh, Irene. Irene's versatility is really overlooked. She's kind of like with Wendy in that matter, but like hers is absurd. Because, I mean, she could just extract the magic out of, or magic, the chakra out of his body. She could separate Momoshiki. She could just start dropping meteors. And when she becomes a dragon, stuff like, because energy equalization, stuff like chakra isn't going to really do anything to her. 1,000,000% never. So, I know that. One thing about that, because Horikoshi went into detail on it in one of the volumes, is that was more of just like an exaggeration of like general. I really wish he didn't name it like that, just because 1,000,000%, when you name the attacks all by percentage, having 1,000,000% just sounds like legitimately it was 1,000,000% and not an exaggeration. Sting bullies Slick to Mirror Racer. Oh, I mean, yeah, he's gonna eat all their abilities. Breaks fingers twice, never uses again. Yeah, he's good. Don't feel disappointed that Lucy never had any interactions with Zero throughout the whole series. No, she had no real reason to. I was more like wondering why Jalal didn't have any. Like, it was a little weird because like they had some setup and obviously the backstory with not Jalal himself, or not Zeref himself, but Zeref adjacent stuff. And there was never any like Zeref confronting, or Jalal confronting Zeref. So I was just like, I would have preferred that, if we got that, but I was never, like, heartbroken that it never happened. Elfman versus Jack. I think, personally, I'm kind of leaning a bit towards Jack, because the thing about Jack versus Elfman is Jack doesn't, like, he's not going to get the fact that he can, like, let me explain one thing, because, like, there's the general setup of, like, how, one of the things that Asta unfairly has on Black Clover people is because of how Black Clover, like, enhanced durability and resistances work. They're using mana skins. So essentially, like we've seen in, demonstrated in the series and shown especially in the anime, they have a layer of mana just over their body. So Asta, when he lands one of his swords on him, he's pretty much cutting through it. And he's dealing directly, a super strong person swinging a heavy metal object at them directly, and it's dealing direct damage. Whereas Jack should be in a similar aspect when he adapts their magic. I would imagine he's just cutting right through and hitting right to their body. He's not going to have that to Elfman, because Elfman is actually durable. But the thing about Jack that Jack has is Jack gets faster as he fights, and Elfman's canonical weakness is that he's not fast. That's literally how it was when Wall scanned him, is he just made a fast robot that was hard for Elfman to fight. Because Elfman actually has, like, pretty good power feats. Like, he was able to hurt Agio, he was able to throw hands with Base Natsu. He doesn't have the speed to really do any of these things. That's why him and Lizana are a really good combo, because Lizana is fast, but she isn't strong. So, like, them together are able to kind of just become, like, a good combo. It's kind of like if you had, like, a really slow but powerful Dragon Slayer and then gave him an Exceed. Because that's, like, Lizana has her own things, but that's, like, the biggest thing with their combo is she's fast. Favorite Black Clover voice actor? I really like Marileona. I like that Marileona's just big flex scenes when she's just yelling at people. Lizard Elfman can't be cut. Oh, no, so, I mean, he should still... I don't really know how it would work towards, again, like, describing how Jack's blades and how his magic works, how exactly that would go down. But it wouldn't work the same as like with Bacchus, because Bacchus was hitting him and hurting himself because of the rough and sharpness of the scales, but Jack's not hitting him with his body, he's hitting him with his magic blades. Elfman versus Jack is a little bit of a weird one, like I said. I think it would really come down to like if Elfman could catch him. If Elfman could get his hands on Jack, I think he could beat him. But if he doesn't do it early on, I think Jack is just going to become fast enough that they can't do it. That Elfman can't do anything. That is an interesting matchup, though. I never thought about that one. Lucy reading the Book of Zareth was a hella good moment, don't you think? I really liked that one. I thought that was really good, just the concept of Lucy's character and obviously like tying Natsu to Lucy together. Given how talented and versatile Jalal is, do you think eventually be enough that he could surpass August? That's a hard one. Oh, thank you for the super chat. One second, let me finish my my comment on this one, and then I'm gonna get to your super chat, Jake Miller. I appreciate the $5. But like the thing about August, it's really hard for like a non like say let's let the audio go through. Then say something like a high-level dragon slayer that eventually could become a dragon and whatnot. With, say, like Jalal has the potential, but like with August base magic is OP, but also his lineage, like being related to Zareth and Mavis, is just unfair. Like we know, like he's essentially been aware of everything since birth because his magic is just so high. So, like, surpassing him would be difficult, but I think it's possible for Jalal, but I don't know if he could do it for sure. If my theory of him becoming a 5th gen happens, then definitely I think he could. But, like, Jalal has the potential to do it, but it's, like, it's a rough road for any non, like, big character along lines of, you know, dragon gods, maybe someone like Georg or, you know, like Natsu to overcome August, just because August is so high of a threshold to overtake. Like Spriggan level starts out fairly strong, obviously still with people like Neinhardt, Brandish, Jacob, but like the gap is huge. It's kind of like when you look at, say, God Serena was Spriggan level and he was the strongest Wizard Saint, but look at, say, like Wizard Saint level fully start, like we know characters that were around Wizard Saint level, like Urza during Tower of Heaven arc, when she was still alive, but Jura was like the weakest Wizard Saint pre-time skip in part 1 back in the Rastion Sace arc. So like compare that kind of level of starting with Jura, ending with God Serena, starting with, you know, and then Spriggan starting with people like Jacob and Neinhardt, ending with August. Or like, say, S-Class. Look at like how our S-Class people kind of were at like the threshold form. Look at the people in the Sirius Island arc, and then ends with Guild Arts. But yeah, let me see. Let me thank you once again, Jake Miller, for $5. Let me see. Is Magna's new chain split giving him an edge versus Luck since he's physically stronger than him? It seems like his ability is broken. If so, if he can get that chain on Luck, I think he can beat Luck. Because then they would have essentially like similar stats, and Magna actually has really good durability, and we've seen that like one thing about Magna is he's actually really strategically set with how he uses fireballs. If he can land that chain, I think he could win. Tartarus Wendy versus Luck. You mean Wendy in general or Dragon Force Wendy? I think Luck can beat regular Wendy and Tartarus, but I think Dragon Force Wendy is going to run a train on him. Because one thing about Wendy that is overlooked is Wendy destroyed Face. And like none of the other wizards around doing stuff could destroy any of the Face structures. And the only people that were destroying them were dragons. So like, it's actually like really impressive for Wendy. Like Wendy realistically was probably within Wizard Saint level at the time. Because Easel was, he was one of the Demon Gates, and you really look at the people that could 1v1 a Demon Gate. You look at people like, like Natsu, you look at people like Urza, Mira Jane, and like Mira Jane had trouble with him. Whereas Dragon Force Wendy really kind of put the hands through, through Easel. Killed him too. What's your favorite moment in Grand Magic Games arc? Let me think. If I had to pick one specific moment, I actually really like when Natsu was doing it. It's probably between when Natsu did 3 parts, actually. Let me pick 3. when Urza beat the pandemonium and she just flexed Fairy Tail in front of everybody. When Natsu did the whole speech in the Chariot event about like why Fairy Tail was competing in the Grand Magic games, like it wasn't about kind of flex on the other guilds. It was more about how they wanted to make up make it up for all the guys that were left over that were suffering the last 7 years to keep Fairy Tail together. And then when future Lucy was killed, and seeing Natsu react to that, I thought was great. Like, he was furious. He's in between rage and sorrow, and he's got tears coming down his eyes, but at the same time he's got veins popping, and we really see, even if it was a future Lucy, it wasn't Lucy that Natsu knew. It was still it was still Lucy to him, and he was he was furious. I thought that was great too, because that was really good on his character. Like, but the other ones, yeah, those are probably my 3 favorite parts. I think it'd be really hard to pick between those. In terms of who's more threatening, Otsukis can travel and devour planets, unlike the Dragon Gods. I mean, the Otsukis, they have to do a lot to get that set up, though, and they could be defeated before that. Whereas the Dragon Gods are really busted, like, in all aspects, and they're already, like, just being around the top of the planet. I mean, honestly, Selene, I don't think Selene would really have any problem going to other planets, like, if she really wanted to. Luck dominates Tartarus Wendy. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if it's Dragon Force Wendy, I think she'd win. I'm pretty sure she'd be fine. Not Dragon Force Wendy and Tartarus, yeah, I think Luck would do fine. Luck would win. Rax, wait, let me see this. What's your favorite moment in the... Oh, I didn't read that one. Rax, how would you take the Triad before 100% against the Demon King and the 10 Commandments together? Wait, what is it? All the 10 Commandments and the Demon King against the Dark Triad? I mean, even 100%, even if you give them 100%, I don't think they could take all 10 Commandments and the Demon King. Because you have to keep in mind, like, they have a lot of good hacks on top of, like, just their general fighting abilities. And a lot of them are very physically strong. Because, like, Meliodas is very physically strong as well. And then you look at the people that could, that were at his level, but then look at people like Gloxnia, who could take hits from him and then just heal from it with his spear. Like, I don't think that they could take all 10 Commandments and the Demon King. Because the Demon King himself, his whole crap, what was his power called? What was it called? I'm gonna Google it before someone tells me. Demon King 7 Deadly Sins. Let me see what it's just called. But that's a tricky power just to work around. Like, I don't know if any of the... I don't think any of the Triad could really deal with that. What is his ability freaking called? Demon King. Come on, Wiki. Help me out before I go back to the chat. Somebody had to tell me what it was. What is his power called? The Ruler. Yeah, that one. That's just a tricky ability. Like I said, like, a lot of them just have some pretty solid hacks, and having tricky abilities like that is always relevant. That's one of the things about Magna right now, is Magna has a way to stay irrelevant with that chain as long as he can get it off. He's kind of like Asta when it comes to matches with magic, is he has a way to essentially always be a wild card and always be a factor. I don't think Jack dominates Elfman, because Elfman actually sits pretty well. It's just his problem is he's slow. Could Asta counter... Wait, could Natsu counter Asta anti-magic zone? To a degree, I think he'd be relatively fine, because the thing about... I gotta refresh my page. The thing about Natsu that's really unfair in the concept of anti-magic versus dragon slaying magic is dragon slaying magic isn't entirely just magic, because it has the dragon ability on top, the dragon attribute. So look at something like we've seen with... like the fight against Faust and the Dorna on him. Dragon slaying magic could still do damage to something that was immune to magic. Or something like Gaja being able to eat anti-magic demon particles. The thing about that is demon particles are a way more dangerous type of anti-magic than what Asta has. Because Asta's depends on potency levels, but it will just cancel out the magic, and it can cut through and neutralize magic. Whereas demon particles outright will destroy the magic, polluting it at a particle level, at a small, like the smallest sources of its energy, and then it will kill wizards just by breathing it. Like, if you just, it just gets in your body, it can kill you. Like, Asta can still hit you with anti-magic. It can cancel out your magic. If it hits you with the sword, obviously it'll do damage. But nobody has just been, like, touched with anti-magic and they just die. Zoro stops at the Spriggans. Zoro stops way... Where is this? Did someone ask that? Zoro stops way earlier than the Spriggans. Are you serious? Zoro is still a bit lightweight. Wait, let me see this. To who does current Zoro stop if you fight every matchup Urza had in the story? All of Urza's matches? Let me think. He can't take Minerva. Like, legitimately, he can't take Minerva. Minerva can teleport, like, can just completely, every single time he comes in, teleport him. Teleport his swords away. Like, she is a hard counter to somebody like him who has no way of really dealing with her. You look at someone like Kyoka, Zoro has no way to really fight Kyoka. I don't think that he can, I don't think he can beat Minerva, to be perfectly honest. He wouldn't even make it even close to the Spriggans. Like, if you said, like, power-wise and Fairy Tail, he doesn't make it close to the Spriggans. The thing about Zoro is Zoro's physically strong, but he has no way of dealing with the hacks that a lot of Fairy Tail characters have. Because One Piece doesn't have a whole lot of hacks, and because of that, not just as, like, they don't have their own hacks, they don't have hacks of their own, they don't have the experience of fighting against a lot of crazy hacks. Whereas, like, say in, like, you were a character in, like, the Fairy Tail world, or Eden Zero, Black Clover, Seven Deadly Sins or something, whatever it is, you're always, like, if you went up against a character, you know, you're smart enough, you're going to take it, like, into account, I don't know what this person's power is, they could have some really unfair ability, or, you know, whatever it is. Whereas, like, One Piece, you don't have a lot of characters that are like that. There's not nearly as many. Like, most characters, you know, they could be just physically strong, you know, maybe have, like, a pretty plain devil fruit. You don't have a lot of, like, outright hacks. Like, you talk about hacks in One Piece, people almost always jump to Law, because Law is, like, one of the only ones that just is like, a really well-rounded, you know, set of hacks. So, someone like Minerva, who could just constantly just zap and freaking teleport Zoro all over the place, what is he gonna do? Let me see. I didn't think that. Wait, I don't like that the words point why is grabbing my. Oh, man. I'm going to stop reading your comments at some point, Villain, without trolling. Rax, what if the Diablo Guild had a Dragon Eater Exceed among them? That would be so cool. I've never thought about that. If they had the Dragon Slayer Exceed, I would hope so bad if they had a Dragon Slayer Exceed, it wouldn't be like a Panther Lily one. I would love just some like happy-sized, powerful, evil little dragon slaying cat. Not evil, but I'm like some little jerk, and he's maybe just like some really aggressive cat. I think that'd be funny. Maybe like draw, so it's like, you know, when cats like feel threatened or they're trying to intimidate, they kind of, you know, their fur starts to stick up, they're trying to look bigger and stuff. Like if the cat looked like that always when it was fighting, that'd be hilarious, but cool at the same time. Top 10 fights, man. Top 10's like, I always have to, I would have to do a video on it, because otherwise I'd have to sit here and think about a lot of the fights. The Bard Gear fight is definitely one of my favorites. If you know, if they can have just add a little bit of you know, coolant to that until then. But Rax Dante uses singularity and kills them. But they have ways around it. They can just dodge. They can just not get hit by it. There's always like there's hacks like something like singularity. It's like, yeah, but they can also hit him or any of them with their own like really crazy hacks. And then what do they do? What happens if they kill? What if Xenon kills? Or not Xenon. What happens? Or no, yeah, I was gonna say Grey Road, but like, what happens if Xenon runs into someone like what's her name, Marcella, and she's able to extract his soul? Like, you have ways that these characters can, you know, get each other caught in hacks, but like, it's not like Dante's the only one with something like that. I mean, in Tartaro, she fought someone who removes senses. Can Zoro? Yeah, Zoro has Haki, but I don't think that's gonna be enough, because like he could still I imagine with observation Haki, he can still sense censored like in ways, but I don't think that's really gonna matter if he can't. You know, he has no sense of touch. He has no sense of he has no sense of. I think sense of touch is probably the best one, because it'd be really weird trying to move with no sense of touch. Like you can't scale something Urza did to Zoro. Like, it doesn't work like that. I'd be trying to scale a Zoro exclusive feat to Urza. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, what is it? Actually, no, I mean, like, the whole, what is Luffy's pain thing, I was going to say, but I feel like Urza could do that just because, I mean, her fight with Kyoka, she was doing nothing but taking vast amounts of pain. How do you see Homura improving her ether gear? More weapon forms, probably just, hers is probably just going to be like a more technique-based thing. Natsu has a lot to learn from Leopold. In what? What does Leopold have to teach Natsu? Hockey is another chat. Hockey's like an alright thing. I've never been a huge fan of hockey, personally. Ikaruga beat Zoro. I mean, she could hurt him because like she has spatial hacks, but I mean, Zoro should blitz her and like one shot her in reality. Like the thing is, like Zoro can still fodder people that are way slower and that he can one shot. But I mean, like someone like Minerva, who was already like Minerva was, in Wizard Saint levels of area. She was messing with Urza and Kagura at the same time. We know later how she was and how she's at now. Like, and on top of that, like she just the way her magic works, it's just unfair for someone like Zoro. Obviously, like Yorick was a former member of Magi Dragon. He could be Eleftheria's son. I don't know if he could. Being Eleftheria's son would be really strange. I'm not opposed to that idea. I think it'd just be a really weird twist. If he was like a member of Magi Dragon, that'd be really cool though. The Graver's S-Death battle is still bothering me to this day. Yeah, it's a really bad one. Because it's like S-Death wouldn't even really get to hurt Gray, because Gray's already has, ice resistances and stuff, resistance to the cold, but then he just eats all of her attacks and makes him stronger in the process. Like Death Battle, like you can tell when they actually look into something, when they research something for a fight. Like sometimes when they do them like that, like they can actually have like a pretty good match. Like one of the ones I've actually always been happy about is when they did Kirby. They did Kirby versus Majin Buu, because I was like, man, if they just go off of Dragon Ball stuff and barely look into Kirby, then Majin Buu would win, and I'd be so annoyed because I know Kirby's actually really OP and crazy, like in power level stuff. But they actually looked into it. They didn't do it entirely because they didn't bring the fact that Hypernova Kirby's mouth is a literal black hole. But I was like, wow, they actually logically had the fight go how it should have went. But like a lot of the other ones, like Urza versus Zoro is one of them where it's just like, that was ass. Red Beard Shanks? There's a Red Beard Shanks? If Shura lives, I can see him being Shiki's rival. I would really like it if after this arc he went out into space and became like an ongoing enemy. Remember, one of the admirals is blind and can see better than most. Oh, what's his name? Fujitora, yeah. I mean, that's a thing for him, though. You know what I realized the other day is, like, One Piece, like, it's always, like, the thing of, like, never really know entirely how long until the ending, but it's, like, it's clear that they're gearing up for, near the ending areas of this series. Like, Luffy is throwing hands with Kaido now, just 1v1. So it's not like there's going to be another freaking 5,000 million chapters or something. But I realize that, like, we still haven't seen that one other admiral, the Green Bull one. It's like, maybe better get this guy out here so he isn't just like, hey guys, I know it's the final war. I showed up for this, and then just he's like a character that is there just to be a powerful admiral, and then loses and has almost no content to him. Because I do like Fujitora. I think he's pretty cool. Like the other two Green Bull should have been introduced way earlier, and then similar to Fujitora, maybe given a little bit more content. Unless he's Vegapunk, which is like something that I've always had like maybe a theory on, which would be a really easy way to have him, introduce him power level wise, obviously importance wise. People, obviously, anyone knows, everybody who reads One Piece knows who reads or watch One Piece that's gotten this far knows who Vegapunk is. But it would be an easy way to fill in like a character in that slot without really needing to do much to it. How do you feel about Kurama's fate in Boruto? I thought it was sad, but at the same time, I kind of liked that it happened. Not in like a, I want to get rid of Kurama, but it was just like a nice conclusion to what was happening. I think in Blitzer before that happens. What, Minerva? Absolutely. He's not blitzing Minerva. Get out of here. Like, Urza was, when she was fighting Kagura and Minerva, like, they were all fighting around the same level. And all of them were within Wizard of Saint tier. There's absolutely no chance. I mean, look at Natsu in that arc. Natsu casually in base dodged from point blank range Sting's roar. He dodged something going, it should be faster than light because dragon elements are all around superior to the natural elements. So Sting's light should be better than regular light in all aspects. So it should be at least, it just pretty much would say light speed plus. Natsu dodges at point blank range and base. Urza and Minerva and Kagura were all stronger than Natsu was at the time. Natsu didn't surpass Urza until like around Alvarez. You can kind of count Tartarus Dragon Force Natsu, but I mean like that was an emotional boost. It wasn't him using it freely. Where it was very clear at the start of Alvarez once Urza was watching Natsu go against Ikusa Tsunagi that Natsu was more powerful. So people like Urza, Minerva, Kagura, they all scale to and above Natsu in the the Sting and Rogue fight. So absolutely not. Like Zoro cannot blitz that. How to ride a shonen fight? What do you mean? I mean, in just general? I saw Metal Gear Run 2020 Evolution was incredible. Oh, I haven't seen it. I'll look it up after this. I didn't know that was out. I haven't watched the Digimon reboot. I might watch it at some point soon. That's assuming she's slow. Yeah, she's not slow. Like, Big Mom has become even more of a joke after this shout. Yeah, I really don't like Big Mom. She just, like, every time she's on screen doing stuff, it just makes me want to skip pages. Like, she's just so disappointing as a bad guy. Like, it's really weird because Oda has kept her around, but consistently used her as, like, a joke or, a hype tool for other characters and stuff. But then you see, like, her, like, clashing with Kaido, and, we just saw this, like, higher level form of Conqueror's Hockey that she also has, and it's just like, how do you have that, but you're as ass as you are? You're apparently one of the only people that has this top-tier hockey of hockeys, and yet your ass, essentially. Like, she just sucks. Because, like, Big Mom gets clowned in almost every scenario. It's so disappointing. At some point, I need to get, just reread some, like, just specifically the Big Mom fights and see if she gets clowned every fight. Current Zoro's definitely stops. No, like, what does he do? He can't get close to her. She's going to keep teleporting. Oh, he's talking about current Minerva and Kyoka? I mean, Kyoka will just wipe out his senses. But, like, Minerva just keeps teleporting him. I thought, I saw Kyoka and I thought you were going to say Kagura. I'm like, Kurt Kagura? No. Kurt Kagura was able to react to stuff from Larcade. She is dancing around everything Zoro does. But, like, Minerva still was able to mess with Historia Bloodman and Wall. So Zoro's not getting close to that. What is Big Mom's best? What Big Mom is the best character with Shunko's punching bag? Yeah, I mean she's literally just a big punching bag. Hard Nervous versus Dante both have crazy regeneration abilities. I would go Dante just because, like, Hardner's best thing was the ultimate pain. I don't know if it would do anything to Dante. It probably would. It would just come down to, like, if he could regenerate, because he's gonna get all these different injuries and wounds all at once. So it could just be so much all at the same time, he might just be gone. That actually is a really interesting idea. I wish more of, like, the Black Clover guys that I talked to, I've read Rave Master. I would love to hear what their thoughts on that are. You should bring it up on Twitter. If you bring it up on Twitter, I'll quote tweet it and stuff and see what other people are at. Or maybe you can at, like, a bunch of people and I'll comment. Rex, you feel the Mortal Kombat movie? I thought it was fine. I was talking to J Cloud because I know, like, some people didn't like it, but I was just like, I don't know a ton about, like, I only know a little bit about, like, Mortal Kombat lore, so I can't talk about it from a lore perspective. But I mostly just wanted it to be a cool action movie. And, like, it was setting up stuff for the future, so, like, it was mostly just kind of like it was an introduction movie in a lot of ways. And I treat introduction movies way different than I do other movies, because it's kind of like early shonen, where a lot of them are similar in the beginning because they have to get certain things and aspects of the series established before they get into the larger scale, points of the story and the plot. Establishment movies, they have to lay out, all this different stuff. And especially a video game as big as Mortal Kombat, where you have so much lore, you have to have something that just kind of sets everything up. I feel like if the Mortal Kombat movie instead was, like, a multiple piece show, or maybe it was, like, they had way more time, like, maybe, like, something like Justice League had freaking 4 hours, and they had way more time to set up the lore, and then do a lot more stuff, that, like, probably would have been higher received. But I was like, I just went in, like, hoping for, like, a fair to follow movie with lots of cool action and stuff. I thought the action was good. What is his name? Kung Lao. Man, he's one of the only Mortal Kombat guys, like, I know about, somewhat. Like, and I was, like, his scenes were so cool. Like, his were badass. I definitely want to watch a sequel. Like, I can understand if maybe, like, some Mortal Kombat fans were unhappy just from, certain changes. But like I said, you have to understand, like, an original movie. Is that Cole guy, actually, let me ask, is that Cole guy original to this movie, or is he a different one? I have no idea. I assumed it was going to be Johnny Cage as the main guy, but, that wasn't. I know they like, they made a comment that that he wasn't going to be in this movie. I think, I don't remember if it was by somebody that was in like on the writing staff. I think it was that like they didn't want a white guy to be like the one to like fix all this like Oriental cross dimensional martial arts stuff, and I'm like, that's stupid. Don't ruin stuff just so you can do some weird social justice shit. Just like put the cool movie up there. Like Johnny Cage is like, he's like one of the most popular guys in Mortal Kombat, so it was really weird to not have him in there. I like Scorpion more than Sub-Zero, but Sub-Zero is really cool too. He's a badass in there. I hated that we never got to tournament. Well, yeah, they were setting stuff up for it though. I'm fine with them. Like I said, first movie, introduction movies, I'm fine with what they did because of like how the plot worked, of how the bad guys were trying to make it so they couldn't go to the tournament, like they couldn't compete in it. So they were setting up for it by taking all these guys out. So they were going to do the same thing. And well, obviously it's a little weird that it's called Mortal Kombat, but you didn't get the actual tournament. But from the standpoint of the story, I think it worked from how the setup and everything was established. I thought it was fine, and I think it'll really just depend on like how much money it makes. If they get a sequel, they'll definitely get into the tournament, bring in some more characters and stuff. Obviously, they're aiming for Johnny Cage in the next one. But yeah, I am very interested to see how things progress with it. Because it's, especially like in movies that it's, obvious that they're setting up more to do like, a series. There was that one movie, what was it called? It was a King Arthur and something. I can't remember what it's called. It was a couple years ago. It didn't make enough. I don't think it made enough to get a sequel, but I was like, man, it sucked. Because they were very clearly trying to set up for like multiple movies. And I saw what they were doing, but I think a lot of people just weren't on board for that, and so the movie didn't make as much to get a continuation. But something like that, when they're setting up more, I think at least for me, it gives me a little bit more hype for the first movie, just because I know it's like this one doesn't need to be amazing. Like I said, it's an establishment setup movie. Everything beyond that is where I think that the meat should be. Devil Fruit uses more of a threat than Hockey in a cross-first fight. I mean, yeah, because Hockey is really just like a couple set powers, whereas Devil Fruits, you have wild card aspects to them, and they can get tons of stuff. Who's a better written female villain, Ultir or Irene? Oh. I'd probably go Ultir, because Ultir just has way more development and way more widespread content, whereas like Irene has a lot of really important stuff. But I mean, outside of what we got in Alvarez, like we've only got a couple chunks beyond that. But she has the potential to be, to be written further. But I would say Ultir overall. Hottest female in Black Clover, Marileona. Dude, I'll go Marileona all day. What do you mean? Theory Oda Ghost Rider is gone. Who's that? Minerva versus Midnight. Oh, Minerva. Minerva should beat him just fine. Alright, so when's the Zencro? The Zencro video, I'm definitely gonna go try and get done. I'm gonna try and start on that within the week. I was a little bit busy this last week, but I'm trying to get a lot of videos done hopefully soon. Like I'm gonna try and maybe do like that the Dragon Slayer video tonight, and then get to the Zencro video hopefully within sometime this week. I'm not going to give an exact date, because that's one thing I got to not do is give exact dates, because they would have missed it. I feel bad. But soon. Because like Zencro will be easier to talk about, because Zencro is really confined to like 30 chapters. Like with Ivan, I have a lot to say about Ivan, just because like Ivan's a really weird character for all the dropped aspects of like his character plots. But Zencro should be really easy. And it's mostly just me talking about Zencro, and then like when I can mention stuff like one thing that's really funny about like just Zencro related content in general is when Zeref first. I remember like the period of time when that chapter came out when Zeref killed Zencro before Acnologia showed up, because everyone thought Acnologia was the name of the spell that Zeref used that killed him. So at the time of I wish I took a screenshot. There's no way I would have ever predicted this years ago that this was going to be something relevant for me to talk about, but on the wiki, at the time, it was listed as a spell Zeref knew called Acnologia that one-shot kills people. And I remember that at the time because I was arguing with somebody. I think it was like a Fairy Tail versus Hitman Reborn debate. And like we were talking about like Zeref using a spell called Acnologia. And it's like, man, we were way off. That's because obviously that's not what he was talking about. That was just his curse and mentioning Acnologia. Favorite Mishima villain design? Design-wise? Oh, Acnologia. Acnologia is like a 10 out of 10 in both his human and his dragon design. Like, they're great. And then if Mishima would ever bring in that weird Acnologia design he used for one of a crossover game. I think it was this, I don't remember what the game was called. Heaven's Gate or something? I don't know. But it's like Acnologia's wings look really weird. His horns get way longer. And he's got more of like this older style like dragon like head, like it elongates a little bit, and he's got these weird orbs on his wings that look like they shoot like they would shoot like the eternal flares out of or something. It looked really sick. But a modern day military show didn't work, like a military goal character to save a village, but it devolves into a dictator. I mean, it really just depends on how you work it out. I mean, you can do most stories as long as that you're able to one, get past the axe point, and then two, obviously get people into it. Cole Young, wait, and where's Cole Young is original to this movie? Okay. I remember people were talking about, I saw him like J-Cloud server, like one guy was like saying that like he just wasn't that interesting. But I mean, I thought he was fine for the first movie, because like I said, introduction movie is way different. I thought he was fine for the first one. I would say like if he's going to be the main character for like another movie or two, they definitely need to do more with him. I would agree that like if say like another movie happens and he doesn't like develop or kind of gain more to him, then he would like I could see like his character being a little bit I thought he was fine for first movie though. Mira fought Kagura at the Grand Magic Games. Who would win? Probably Kagura. The thing is like Urza was I would say still stronger than Mira Jane in the Grand Magic Games. I mean, especially because like she wasn't using her second origin. I'm like second origin Urza was stronger than Kagura, but Kagura I think Kagura would outlast Mira Jane, and we know Mira Jane, she's limited way more on magic because Satan's Soul isn't something that is like it's not like a long endurance style of magic. I would give it to Kagura in that standpoint, especially if Kagura takes her sword out. I think that would probably be the determining factor. If Kagura doesn't take her sword out against Mira Jane, then Mira Jane would win for sure. Let's see. Baron's dragon transformation was amazing. Oh, is that from the Dragon Quest anime? I saw a clip of it. I only watched a little bit because I do want to watch that at some point. Are you excited to watch Conjuring 3? Oh, excited? There's a Conjuring 3? Oh, definitely. I actually like the Conjuring movies. I was not a fan of a lot of horror during like the Paranormal Activity kind of area of movies, because I hate like the jump scare ones where it's just like you essentially wait like 20 minutes in between like jump scare scenes and that's it. One of the things I really liked about like the It movies and like the Conjuring movies, Insidious and stuff, is like they would have like a jump scare and then they would kind of go on that for a bit. And they wouldn't just be like, oh, like scared for 10 seconds and then cool, I can sit here and watch like characters talk for 10 minutes and then I get another one for 2 seconds. So I'm definitely going to watch The Conjuring 3. Like, I'm going to watch that for sure. I didn't know they were making I heard they were making a third one a long time ago, but it was one of those movies that I just thought got lost in concept. But if they're making another one, I'm going to be pretty hyped. I'm not ready for tomorrow. What's wrong with tomorrow, though, Gene? You good? Are you talking about what? Like, is there a chapter or something coming out tomorrow you're hyped about, or what's up? Would you want fire, water, wind, earth, or lightning as a magic and as a slayer? Oh, regular magic? I mean, fire. Fire's my favorite element. Fire's always been my favorite element since like back watching like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, playing Pokemon Soul Silver, picking up Cyndaquil and stuff. Fire's been my favorite element for a long time. That was one of the things that first got my attention in Fairy Tail, is I saw Natsu with fire on his hands, and I was like, oh, I'll check this out. And obviously that's history was made for me at that point as following the story as a stand for the last oh my god, like 10 plus years. Scullion, Kyria, and Wraith versus half-dead Igneal. Oh, Igneal should still be fine. Igneal should still run a train on him. Like, Igneal was fighting Acnologia. He ripped off one of his arms. Like, he's too much for him. Are you still planning to do the Zareth and Mavis love story video? Was I going to do a video on that? I don't remember talking about it. Leon's a simp, so no. I don't know what you're talking about, Leon. Rex, you have to play all of the 3 recent Mortal Kombat games. Oh, wait, what? Do I? I haven't played many Mortal Kombat games. Like, outside of some of the Dragon Ball games, I haven't played a lot of fighting games. I don't know why. Injustice too. I played those. I don't know. I've never just kind of gotten into Mortal Kombat games. I bully my friends while I get bullied by some older dude in Mortal Kombat 11. That's actually is like a small interesting story. I don't think it was Mortal Kombat. I think it was Street Fighter. There's a guy that I worked with, and he was really into Street Fighter, and he would play it all the time. He would talk a lot of shit, and obviously I don't play that often, like fighting games in general. So he could beat like people like me, and he'd be flexing and stuff. And there was this dude who came in, like this older guy. He was like in his I want to say like I think he was in his like late 30s, early 40s, and he just came and picked up controller and beat this dude's ass, and he was doing some of like the meanest shit talking I've seen. There's a funny part in the Hades fight that every single time I watch it, manga or anime, that I'm always like such a good flex moment is when Hades mentions like, I haven't been hit this hard in decades, and I'm just like, man, that's a old man, very powerful hype statement right there. But when this dude was beating my friend's ass at Street Fighter, he's like, man, I haven't picked up this game since, I think he said like 1995 or something, and I'm like, oh my god, that was like one of the meanest, like low-key meanest like burns I've ever heard on somebody when it comes to like a game. Could you imagine saying like, man, I'm whooping your ass and I haven't played this game in 20 something years? And I was just like, holy shit. This is a fun lore Rax lore thing to mention for this stream. I still think about that day. Like the day itself wasn't eventful. It was just a plain day at work, but we were playing games in the off time, and man, I remember that because he was like, my friend was so demoralized. He was just like, fuck, man. He was talking all this shit, and here's some old dude who hadn't played the game in years comes in and whoops his ass at something that he had been dedicating like his off time to for like months. Acnologi is a better healer doctor than Wendy. He used to heal dragons. I mean, he was an OP healer. But I mean, like Wendy doesn't have anything around like, healing dragons and stuff, but like he wasn't healing the same way that Wendy healed. He mostly just could stop the bleeding. Yeah, it was a brutal roast. I was like, holy shit, man. It was a fun day. Your thoughts on ReZero Magic? Oh, I haven't watched, I watched ReZero Season 1 once. I haven't watched anything since then. I wasn't a fan of the main character, so I didn't really get too much into it. And I was mad that he was like all for, what's her name, Amelia? Because I was just like, man, this chick's a bitch. Why didn't he go for, is the blue one Rem, or I don't remember both of their names, but he should have went for the blue one. Like, why would he ditch the dedicated girl that's clearly very loyal to him, to like, the freaking albino chick that like humiliated him in front of like a whole crowd of people? Like, fuck that chick. I want water or wind. Water would be really cool too. Do you think Gray will eventually be able to freeze time by the end of 100 years with? He might be able to do it with his transcended magic. Like, I was thinking about, like, his rematch with Okune is he has to be able to deal with Diamond Effect. If he could stop time, like, legitimately freeze time, then, man, GG. That's the way he could do it. And I don't think, if he can do it, I don't think it'll be the way that S-Death does it, where she legitimately, freezes time with, like, the idea that she's, manipulating cold and just, hey, I froze time. Because, like, with hers, as long as you have the ability, either enough cold resistance or ways to adapt to the cold, then you're unaffected by her time stop. But if Gray does something like absolute zero and stops time by essentially using magic to stop time scientifically, then shit, like, man, he's gonna be dangerous. Because, like, people have absolute zero in certain series, but you don't really get the time stop aspect of it, because that's one of the things I believe is like associated with absolute zero, is it will freeze time because of just like the concept if you essentially get to absolute zero of all matter and energy stopping. I think I'm not a scientist, so it's not like I was like, yeah, let me pull up my degree on this. It's just like what I've read that I haven't looked into in a bit, but from what I remember. I want to know what Gene said he wasn't ready for. I wonder if he's okay. Have you seen that? There's a fourth Matrix? What's all these movies I haven't heard of coming out? What do you think of the Fairy Tail Ninja anime or announcement will be about? I'm hoping either Heroes anime or 100 Years Quest anime. Or Heroes 2. That actually is something I would be really hyped for as well. If Mishima announces doing a sequel to the Heroes manga and does another one, that also I would be super stoked for. Because one thing that he set up that would be in the sequel is his other main characters. And for those who haven't read Monster Soul, the main character Aki, I wish so bad they would also continue that at some point. Either Mishima reboots it or he gives it to the dude who did the Happy spinoff. I've talked to him a couple times on Twitter, and I've hinted it to him, and I'm like hoping at some point maybe he asks Mishima if he could do it, because I think he would do a good job of it if you've read his series Buster Keel. I think he would do a great job with Monster Soul, and I would love to see that continued. What do you think of the Black? How do you think the Black Dragon Knight get their power? I don't know. Like the 5th gen, right now with 5th gen. My theory that I've constantly had that I brought up, and like maybe how they got their power, because obviously 5th gen has to do with eating dragon meat, and how strong they are is maybe the arm that was taken, that Igno ripped off Acnologia somehow got to Georg or somehow got over them, and they all ate some of Acnologia, and that's how they got their initial power, and then it would just depend on like how things fall after that. Like maybe Georg and the Black Dragon Slayer Knights all ate more than like the other people. Again, I don't know. It's just like a theory. This is like a small theory I've had. Wait, I already read this one. Let's see. What do you think Wise will get an attack named after Acnologia since he has the other dragon? I don't know. I would hope for something like that. It would just be like maybe a giant energy attack. Or maybe it'd be like an ether canceller. Like something with like a Pino kind of theme. Like he sees Pino. He's like, oh, maybe if I do like an EMP thing. And he names after Acnologia. And it's just kind of like how Asta has the, his mana anti-magic pulse with the Demon Dweller Sword. Maybe Wise gets something like that. Makes you want to play Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. Dude, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was the shit. I love that one. That's like the best Dragon Ball game for just like, the amount of characters it has. Because like the combat system was good. And there was just so much to work with. I think collectively, counting different forms, it was like 130 characters or something. And then, taking away form numbers, I think it was like 70 or 80. Like, there was a lot, and I loved having different. I've always been fine with having different versions of like Goku and other characters, like have Saiyan Saga Goku, freaking Majin Buu Saga GT and stuff. But it's like with Fighter Z, I'm just like, man, that's like a fourth of the roster. The blue one is Rem. Yeah, I wish he picked her instead. No, fuck Amelia. Like she was really rude. Amelia didn't bully him. She's the best girl. I don't like her. Like, I remember when she was really mean to him at that party, like, in front of all these people, and I was like, man, come on. Whereas, like, Rem was, like, super loyal and dedicated, and I was just like, go with this chick. That chick, like, why even bother with her? Thoughts on hiatus, ex-hiatus? I mean, I'm alright with Hunter x Hunter. It's so text-heavy, though, and it's, like, it's never coming back, so... It's funny that, like, some of these guys still have hope, but at the same time, it's at least they're dedicated. Think of Kaiju number 8. I do like Kaiju number 8. I think it's cool. I want to reread it at some point because I've only read through it once. And most of the chapters I've only read once. So some of the characters, like their names, I don't remember. But it's something that I definitely enjoy. Like I've read I usually read the chapters whenever I can after they come out. So I'm gonna buy the volumes too as well. Like it's definitely in a series. Also, if it gets an anime, I mean it's gonna get an anime after looking at the sales so far. I'm gonna definitely follow that. That'll be like a day one anime watch for me. Only someone like E&D can break through time. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's fucking busted. Oh, is Iron Nancy here to slander? Golden Week is next week. That's what I'm saying. It's looming over, closer. It doesn't say it's this week. Oh, also is Golden Week. Okay, I thought you were saying, like, trying to tell me, like, hey, just so you know. But no, it's next week. Golden Week. So next week, Shonen Jump will be on break. On, I think, what day did I say it was? The 2nd or something? Or, the 2nd of May. There shouldn't be chapters that week. Future Wizard King Seki versus Morris. Man, them Seki comments. Seki, I kind of hope Seki does something this arc. I don't know. My favorite Jujutsu Kaisen characters are Yuji Sukuna, Gojo, Nanami, and Maki. Nanami's definitely one of my favorites too. Nanami, Hanami. I've been trying to think of some of the like younger characters. I like Toto. Megumi's my favorite character though in the series overall. I really like Megumi. After his luckily the anime got to his whole fight against the one special grade that he unlocked his partial domain expansion on. But the part when we get like how his like trump card works and how he essentially figured out a way to cheat like the rules of his curse technique. That was when he became my favorite characters. I thought that was just so sick, and it was such a smart way to cheat around his power. Starbiter is the best. I really wish Hero would turn it into a series. I mean, the thing about Starbiter Satsuki is the plot was very limited, and he essentially took Satsuki and turned her into Mora. Like, he just reshaped her into Mora. It was a statement from the era about Invil's magic surpassing Absolute Zero mistranslation. No, it was on there. It's just it was an editor comment, so it's kind of like, if you whether you want to take it or not. The thing about it is, like, Invil though isn't using. He's not an ice wizard. He's a cold wizard. He's using essentially the like he says, the essence of the cold. He's using the concept of the cold itself. I don't know, like conceptual, like in the same way that like say like Memento Mori is or something, but he's just using the idea of the ice cold temperature. He's just using freezing temperature to freeze things around him. Yeah, the Budokai games openings, you're right, like those were great. I love those. The music too. And just like some of the scenes, Satsuki over Zoro, I don't know about that one. I mean, I'm definitely not gonna jump on that train. How do you think Diablos will get all their dragon? How do you think Diablos got all their dragon meat? Well, there should still be dragons out in the world. Like, they could just be hiding similar to what the dragon gods or like what Irene, Elasaria were doing. I doubt the other ones were that strong. Like, there's probably just a lot of small ones hiding out that they can come across. Let me see. Oh, Mishima's announcement tease on Twitter. I'm actually now that I thought about it, I kind of hope I'm hoping it's either Heroes anime, 100 Years Quest anime, or Heroes 2, like a sequel to Manga. I just smacked a can. So like Shigaraki, do you think Obito has gone too far to be saved or forgiven? Oh, come on, like 100%. Like, Obito was so far gone. Like, I don't get why Naruto was so cool with this guy that led to the death of his parents. I'm like, man, he's definitely a little far end up in there. Like, definitely don't be forgiving this guy as easily as you did. Like, he didn't have something like Zeref, where Zeref was not what he wanted to. What happened to Zeref was because of his curse, not because of his own choices. So you have to kind of, have to give that, you have to take that into perspective when, looking at his character and stuff. Whereas with Obito, I mean, that was just him doing his thing. I'd be very curious. Oh crap! I lost my train of thought on that one. Actually, Goji is best girl and boy. Goji, oh my god, Godzilla. Can they eat dragon slayers to gain their powers? I don't know if they would gain their power. I'd be very curious about that. I don't know if they're gonna cannibalize any dragon slayers in 100 Years Quest. Let's see. Hope we got 100 Years Quest anime no cap. Me too, 100%, man. Why doesn't Wendy lift Urza? Oh, wait, what? She was physically strong enough to destroy Face. I mean, she should be strong enough, but I mean, like, why is she going to? She's gonna heal them. Like, she knows what she's about to be doing. Oh, how is our pro tag if I've never read it? Wait, what? I'm so confused, Nancy, with that comment. What do you mean? How is it our pro tag if I've never read? What haven't you read? I'm so confused. Rex, what do you think is better, Hitman Reborn or Mission Yozakura Family? I mean, overall, obviously, if I have to say overall, I'd say Hitman Reborn because there's so much more to it. But I think Yozakura Family has the potential to overtake it. I think the core of the main cast, I think, is better. I like Taiyo way more than I do Suna. Let me think. It's just kind of hard because it's like a lot of the big stuff in Hitman Reborn, obviously, like Mission Yozakura hasn't gotten to yet. They don't have nearly as much because. How much did Hitman Reborn have? I think like 340 chapters, and Yozakura is only at 80. I think so, and like a lot of the stuff that I think that they did with like what were they called, Vandis or whatever? Those dudes were really cool too. But I would say I think Yozakura, if it keeps on track where it's at now, I think it'll be better in the end. But if I just say, I mean, obviously, if I say right now, I'm going to say freaking Hitman Reborn because Hitman Reborn has way more for it. But I mean, right now, if they were airing both right now, and I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Yozakura Family just because I like the core cast a lot more. I think the power system is more interesting. It's not really. There's not really a power system. It's more of just powers. It's kind of like quirks and stuff. But I do have a lot of high hopes for it. It's kind of like Mashal. It's one of the big up and comers. Thoughts on Spike's Family? I only read the first couple chapters. Oh, Nancy, he's why is he slammering Sugumi or Sumugi? Is that? And I don't think it's Sugumi. I think it's or I don't think I don't think it's Sugumi. I think it's Sumugi, isn't it? Let me pull up the chapter actually real quick, just because I want to get clarification on that. Because I remember thinking it was something Sugumi when I first saw her name, but I'm pretty sure it's Sumugi. Let me see, chapter 1. I'm just pulling up right now. Let me see. I like her so far too. I think she's got a pretty interesting personality, and I like her power. I do think that, you know, her wielding this giant piece of candy, smashing it into people is pretty cool. Let me see. Where is her name on here? I'm scrolling through. I'm pretty sure it's Sumugi. Man, this is bogging me trying to figure out where the name drop was. But man, she's cool. What's Iron Nancy have against her? Man. Anyway, let me get back to the comments. Toto, wait, what? Oh, Toto? I mean, Toto likes his chicks, 100%. But yeah, how long have I been streaming for? A little over 2 hours, because I remember the first stream got to like 20 minutes or something. Yeah, Sumugi. I'm pretty sure that is her name. Why would he? What's the problem with Sumugi? Freaking Nancy, why hating? War Greymon or Metal Greymon? Oh, War Greymon. War Greymon is always I've always picked out like that's something that I've been sticking with since Digimon was first airing in America and stuff. I remember like when those episodes first dropped, that was so hype. Shuda versus Maryland, dude. You put Shuda. Yeah, I mean Shuda in general. For a second, I was gonna say in Prime, but I was thinking of Shiba. Shuda would body. Like Shuda already fought a bigger Shuda fought a bigger badder lion. What do you mean? Now that I think about it, it's funny because he went against a bigger, more powerful fire lion person and won. What devil fruit power is good fit for Natsu? I'm trying to think of what Natsu would like if he was in there. Because obviously like fire and stuff like that's a Natsu thing, but I'm trying to think what would he pick. I feel like he would pick something ridiculous, and I'm just trying to figure out what it would be. Honestly, I feel like he would probably try and pick something like is there anything that's just raw teleportation, not like laws, but I'm trying to think if there's anything that he could do that would let him skip any form of like train rides or carriage rides, or kind of just like go past that. Like if he could just kind of have something like Finral. I'm trying to think of any like kind of low-key double fruits about it. Maybe Shiki's where he can levitate stuff. So like if he's on a train, he could just kind of hover off the ground and just kind of like not technically be affected by the train, but he's just on board. Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream. Actually, let me see. This Gumamon or better. Oh, I'm talking about Digimon. When is it good? I already answered this. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream. Been a little 2 hours, and I'm going to which shorty would win, Asta, Wendy, or Toshiro? I mean, Asta doesn't really have anything to do with Toshiro, but Toshiro has to get to his timer on his Bankai. Wendy is more of like an overall fighter. I don't know. It's kind of a weird one. I feel like honestly, like in the end, Toshiro would probably win just because like he's got that hacks if he can get to his full power Bankai. But yeah, I'm going to Blue. Oh yeah, Bluno. There you go. Like I think Natsu would take that. I think he would take that one. Like if you gave him a whole list of them and he knew what they did, like he might just take that one because it's like, hey man, no more train rides. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm glad I was able to stick a little bit longer with this one because I remember last week's wasn't as long as I wanted it to be. But hopefully I can keep like a 2 hour level every stream. And then, like I said, Saturday streams are going to be the normal ones, and then 100 Years Quest chapter days. And I'm just going to bring it up, for a bit until people get more used to it, just because this is, it's more of a new schedule. Like I used that I'm adding, a second stream day every other week. But yeah, other than that, read Candy Flurry. Go check that out. First chapter's pretty good. Really, when you get past like the weird candy aspect, the main character's cool. I like the plot so far. It's got an interesting plot, and I'm interested to see where the story goes. But anyway, other than that, I'll talk to you guys on the next stream Saturday, or in the comments, my next videos. Obviously, tomorrow is Shonen Jump Day, so we'll have stuff to talk about in the reviews.